No current Premier League side has earned fewer wins or scored fewer goals across their last 8 games in the competition than Chelsea. Let that sink in for a second. The rain has come hurtling down here at Craven Cottage. That big looming Riverside stand over on the far side is only 40% full. It's jam-packed everywhere else. Chelsea will shoot towards the Putney end away to our left-hand side in the first half, and the home team towards the Hammersmith end, and they're not happy about that. They usually like to do it the other way round here at Craven Cottage. Chelsea in blue shirts, blue shorts and blue socks attacking that goal away to our left in the first half. It's white shorts and black. It's white shirts and black shorts for Fulham attacking the goal away to our left in the first half. Our referee is David Coote. The VAR is John Brooks. And we are about to get underway here on Talksport. And as well as her 50 caps for England, Leanne Sanderson scored 20 goals in 26 league appearances for Chelsea. If the Blues public were voting, then Graham Potter would already be skating off to the distance. But this is the new Chelsea, and when the pressure is on a manager, what is it like for the players? How do you respond?
I think you have to ultimately, sometimes the manager can lose the dressing room. I don't think it's at that point yet, but you have to also play for yourself. And I think sometimes in modern day football, players just don't go out there and take the initiative. They often, wait for that guidance. But sometimes you have to play the game. This isn't chess, You sometimes have to play the game at hand, go back to basics and play. And I think a lot of the Chelsea players so far this season have been underperforming. I think you can't always blame the manager. Ultimately, that's who's going to get blamed in the end. But the players have to realise, this is a massive game either way. The next opponent, with Chelsea not winning games, 3 wins in 13 is not enough for Chelsea Football Club. Not enough for any team, let alone Chelsea. And you reeled off before, Sal, about the 67 change and those types of things. That's all great if they're winning. But that shows to me that sometimes, I'm not saying Graham Potter's out of his depth, but at this moment in time, he's not doing exactly what every other journalist thought he would do, and he's not getting the team to play to their best strengths. Zakaria
wins the ball in the heart of midfield. Chelsea in blue tonight. Fulham with Bernd Leno in goal, Kenny Tete, Tosin, Tim Ream and Anthony Robinson as the back four. Paulinho and Harrison Reed holding. Then Pereira playing behind Vinicius. Willian and Deco Diva Reed are the 2 on the flanks. For Chelsea, it's a back 3 of Chalobah, Silva and Koulibaly in front of Kepa Arrizabalaga. Azpilicueta and Lewis Hall as the wing back. Zakaria and Kovacic and Mount in the middle. And it's João Felix and Kai Havertz up top. And here is João Felix down the right-hand side. Skips the ball through the legs of the defender. Sets up Havertz. Gets it back again. Taps it to Lewis Hall. And he shoots straight down the throat of the goalkeeper. Well, it's a massive chance that underscores Chelsea's problems, created by João Felix over on the right-hand side. He went jinking into the penalty area, put it through the legs of Tim Ream, squared it for Kai Havertz, who should have scored, didn't. And he then squared it when he got the rebound back to Lewis Hall. He should have scored and didn't.
Absolutely brilliant play from João Felix. And Kai Havertz, for me, that's too nonchalant. You've got to put that in the back of the net. We're early on in this game. Lewis Hall, it comes out to him. He also hits it. He P-rolls it. But that's fantastic play for João Felix. Nutmegs Tim Ream and puts it on a plate for Kai Havertz. And, he didn't really catch the ball. It should have been in the back of the net.
It was a great chance for Chelsea to take the lead. Their issue is goals. Very clear, very obvious. They've scored 19 goals fewer and conceded 7 more than at this stage last season. Sterling's got 4 in the Premier League, same as Havertz. The last Chelsea striker to get 10 was Tammy Abraham, and they sold him so they could bring in Lukaku. And they just don't have enough shots on goal. They don't have enough creativity. That was certainly creative from João Felix, and they should be 1-0 in front inside the first 3 minutes of the game. They're not. Here comes Deco Diva Reed down the right side for Fulham, motoring up towards the right edge of the penalty area, skips it into the air, gets the second chance to bring it down after it goes over the head of Lewis Hall, and it runs all the way through to Kepa Arrizabalaga inside the 6-yard box away to our right-hand side. But Chelsea got to be a little bit careful than that. Deco Diva Reed, who has been quite productive down the right side of the Fulham attack, whether it's been at right wing back, right back or at right wing throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, he's been brilliant for them, and he's been so versatile, and obviously Lewis Hall has to be mindful of him. But I think Chelsea needed Kai Havertz to put that in the back of the net, because that would have given them good confidence, will settle the game down a little bit. The fans would have gone a little bit quieter, the fact that Chelsea are away from home. But certainly they're playing really well after these. There's only 4 minutes gone, but you can see João Felix hasn't stopped moving. He's on the left, he's on the right, he's getting on the ball, and that's exactly what Chelsea need.
Chelsea need a response after crashing out of the FA Cup to Manchester City. The vultures are circling, the headline writers have their fingers hovering over the keyboards. But Fulham are in a terrific place, 7th in the league, 3 points ahead of Chelsea, and through to the next round of the FA Cup after a decent performance by the fringe players against Hull at the weekend. Chelsea have the ball deep inside their own half. 0-0, 4 minutes played, live on Talksport. Here's Lewis Hall, the left wing back, 18 years of age, 18th years of age, yeah. 5th appearance of the season, made his debut when he started in the defeat to Newcastle ahead of the World Cup. He's played it out to the far side. Trevor Chalobah's given it away sloppily. Azpilicueta's had to backpedal, and Willian, who's been one of the surprise bonuses in the Fulham team, starts to motor forward. Andreas Pereira takes over. João Felix skips past Paulinho, clips it away from his compatriot, then goes down, wins a free kick just short of the halfway line. It was good play again by him. He started well.
Absolutely, and he's a player that sometimes, you know, when you've not been in amongst all the negativity, he's just got here, you know, he's coming over from a not so great situation for him for Atletico Madrid. Even when they could make 5 substitutions, Simeone just wasn't having him. But as you can see, you know, he's staying in between the lines. That touch was fantastic. You know, he drew the foul, and so for me, I know it's only 4 or 5 minutes gone, but he looks bright. And I said this before, you know, people can say, oh, he's only been here for 2 days, how do you throw him back in? It shows desperation, but he's a great player, and he's exactly what they need. I don't think he's the answer to everything, but he's shown great starts so far. Stretching
the Fulham defence now by trying to run in behind. A long ball played forward from the right side by Azpilicueta, looking up to try and find João Felix. He's headed away and out of play over on the far side by Tosin, and it goes out for a throw into Chelsea. Chelsea nudge it in towards Kovacic. There's a battle on the far touchline. Havertz loses that battle. The ball goes out of play, and it's away for a Fulham throw. Fulham missing Alexander Mitrovic tonight, who is their focal point. He is suspended after a 5th booking of the season at Leicester last week. Truth is, I was quite surprised that he's only picked up 5.
Well, I mean, someone like Mitrovic, you know, he always plays on the edge, and you kind of want them. Those types of players like Diego Costa, if you take that away from them, then they're not them.
Koulibaly, after he was headed the ball by João Felix, it goes out to the wide left position. The cross comes in from Anthony Robinson. That hit an arm of Trevor Chalobah inside the penalty area. Robinson didn't really appeal for it. Goes behind and away for the first corner of the game. There's a few behind the goal away to our right that were appealing for it.
It definitely hit his arm, but they've not deemed it to be, you know, a free kick, but it definitely hit his arm.
Corner kick to be taken over on the far side. Andreas Pereira is going to take it. In the white of Fulham, attacking the goal away to our right. Chelsea with everybody back inside the 18-yard area. As the ball comes in towards the near post, it's flicked away by Thiago Silva and straight back out and away for another corner to Fulham. We've played 6.5 minutes. Listening to Talksport, Fulham 0, Chelsea 0 in southwest London. They're in the same postcode. You can walk between the two quite easily. But Chelsea seem to have the better of the recent fixtures anyway. Haven't lost here since 2006. Ball in towards the near post, headed away by Thiago Silva, and it's straight out on the far side and away for a throw-in.
It's interesting because Andreas Pereira has put the ball front post. The last 2 corners he did consecutively, so they're obviously seeing a space there, but none of the Fulham players made that run.
Anthony Robinson into the centre, ball collected, turn, Vinicius turns and smashes the ball towards the far corner, and so close to making it 1-0 with a brilliant turn and swivel. An excellent hit after it was fired into him, and on the edge of the penalty area he moved so elegantly, took one touch and fired it across the goalkeeper, and it was only about a yard wide.
Yeah, that's exactly what the Fulham fans want to see. You know, we've obviously spoken about them being without their main man tonight in Mitrovic, but you know, Anthony Robinson put a really nice pass in to Carlos Vinicius, and it was a really good turn and swivel, and unfortunately just went wide.
Oh, Havertz has just bumped the ball away from Tosin, and then it's run out to the far side. João Felix is chasing. Anthony Robinson has brought him down. It's going to be a free kick. Tosin might get a word from David Coote as well for his foul in the run-up to that. It's a yellow card. Who's it a yellow card for? Anthony Robinson?
I think the initial first play, from Tosin.
Well, no, Tosin's nowhere near the referee giving the yellow card. I think he's given it eventually to Anthony Robertson for bringing out an arm and then tripping João Felix. It's generated a free kick, but yeah, I would have thought the first one was more aggressive.
Yeah, the Anthony Robinson, I think he's unfortunate there that he's picked up a booking. obviously not good. Only 8 minutes in, 9 minutes into the game, and fullbacks picked up a booking. I thought it was quite unfortunate because I thought the Tosin one looked more of a yellow card.
Mason Mount's going to take the free kick. Lewis Hall is standing next to it as well. It's about 5 yards outside the area on the right side. It's been a bright start to the game. We've played 9 minutes. It's whizzed by. It's still goalless on Talksport. Out on the far side, the ball is with Mason Mount, looking, eyes darting. Where's the movement? Zakaria is lurking on the edge of the penalty area. It's a right-footed ball deep towards the far post. Headed away by Vinicius. Comes back to Kovacic, who strikes it first time right into a clutch of bodies. It's spread wide towards João Felix, who drags the shot towards the near post. It's about a yard wide of the upright.
Positive play though. I'm surprised João Felix didn't go across goal. I was expecting him as soon as he took the touch with his left foot to bend it far Pona on that top right. But you can see what he was trying to do. He was trying to catch Bernd Leno off guard, and you can hear the Fulham fans singing "Who Are You?" But I think João Felix has looked really bright in the first 10 minutes. Absolutely, it'd be unfortunate, it'd be disappointed to not hit the target there. He just snatched it a little bit, but good bright play from him. He looks fearless, and that's exactly what Chelsea have needed. Yeah, absolutely, Chelsea have needed it. Zakaria has just been a little bit too fearless as he's gone steaming into Andreas Pereira. Zakaria, after the ball had gone straight through the back of the Brazilian. Fulham want a yellow card for Denis Zakaria. It was late, but it wasn't a terrible challenge. It was stupid, Sam. I mean, it was just so unnecessary. I understand players want to bite and Zakaria wants to get involved, but I think he's quite fortunate. It's not malicious, but it's certainly really badly timed. So I think it's really, really fortunate. He hasn't picked up a yellow card. I can understand why Andreas Pereira is speaking to the referee because, especially on a wet night like this, he's gone sliding across, got nowhere near the ball. Talksport 0-0. Aston Villa leads tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And that's a Talksport exclusive. Saturday will be at Old Trafford. Rashbin Chowdhury will be alongside me and Stuart Pearce. We're on air from 11 o'clock, kick-off 12:30. Manchester United versus Manchester City. The Manchester derby, live and only on Talksport. Kovacic wins the ball back illegally. Kenny Tete gets a free kick. It's been a bit stop-start for the last 2 minutes after a really good flow to the start of the game. And David Coote doesn't want to lose control here. That wasn't a foul for me. Nowhere near a foul. No, and I think the referee just needs to let the game play a little bit because Kovacic has not even touched Tete and he's gone down, and the ref needs to let the game flow. Also on Saturday, by the way, Everton against Southampton. One of the biggest games of the Premier League season so far for reasons at the bottom of the table. Deco Dover-Reid picks it up for Fulham, cuts in from the right side. He's midway inside the Chelsea half, then runs down a blind alley, gives the ball away and it's cleared. Upfield by Cesar Azpilicueta. One back by Fulham again into Vinicius, who tries to skip away from Trevor Chalobah, whose brother's on the Fulham bench tonight, by the way. And the free kick is given against Chalobah. It's going to be a free kick about 15 yards outside the box wide on the left, and Chelsea now getting a little bit irate. 0-0 the score. That's good from Vinicius. That's exactly what they need. Checking in, getting on the ball. And the Fulham fans are getting irate because obviously Anthony Robinson picked up that booking and Azpilicueta's gone in there and he's not picked up a booking. But we don't want to see the referee, giving out yellow cards willy-nilly, but we want him to be consistent. And I think that's why the Fulham fans are asking for that. But certainly been a heated start to the game from the get-go, but I want the ref to let the game flow a little bit more because it's certainly been stop-start. It has been a little bit like that over the course of the last couple of minutes as Andreas Pereira gets a free kick and whips it in from the left side into the 18-yard box. It's by the penalty spot when it's headed away by Kai Havertz. João Felix nudges it backwards rather than forwards, and Azpilicueta scurries into the right full-back position to put it out for a throw-in over on the far side. Fulham's win percentage is drastically affected when Mitrovic isn't in the team. In the 164 games they've played with him in the side, they've won 43% of them. That dips to 28% without him. He's not in the team tonight, but Vinicius has looked lively so far. He's still looking for his first Fulham goal. Willian jinks his way to the left edge of the Chelsea penalty area, high up inside opposition territory. Anthony Robinson's cross on the overlap wasn't particularly great. Lewis Hall seemed to control that oddly. There was a claim for handball, wasn't given. Tete wins it midway inside the Chelsea half, and they've won it back high up here to keep Chelsea under real pressure. That's a mistake though by Harrison Reed, given away to Lewis Hall. João Felix leads the counter-attack. Andreas Pereira has just cynically tripped João Felix. He's going to get a yellow card as a result of that. Now,
I think that's all come because of the frustration that he gleaned from the earlier tackle from Zakaria. Zakaria wasn't given a yellow card. He's been mouthing off ever since. He got frustrated. He's then kicked out João Felix. Now he's the one that's gone into the book. It was just absolutely unnecessary.
Absolutely. I completely understand why Andreas Pereira feels frustrated, but this is the type of game that you have to keep your head, because you don't want to be picking up yellow cards, because now he's going to have to be careful. Anthony Robinson is going to have to be careful as well, playing in those positions where they're going to have to put their foot in.
Chelsea combining down the right, in towards João Felix on the volley. Didn't quite get hold of it. He was offside anyway as the cross came in from Mason Mount down the right side. Havertz picked it up, played a little 1-2 with Mason Mount, and Mount's delivery went towards the far post, and it was so close to an opener for João Felix, but the flag was up.
It was offside, but he clearly was offside, you can see. But I think he should have gone with his left foot. He went with his right foot, almost the outside of it. But again, you know, for me, it's positives that he's getting into those positions. You know, a lot of people think João Felix just checks towards the ball, but as we've seen, he doesn't just check towards the ball. He's been in the middle, he's been on the left, he's been on the right. And that was really good play from Mason Mount down that right-hand side. Fantastic ball in the box.
It's been a bright start for both the two Chelsea strikers, actually, Havertz and João Felix. But it remains 0-0. Chelsea have had the best chance of the game. Havertz should have scored. So should Lewis Hill. Was on the ball now. He's won it and then lost it. And Tete is attacking him down the right side for Fulham. De Cordova-Reid towards the edge of the area. Koulibaly taps it away. Hall in feet towards Kovacic. Good tight play from Lewis Hall. And it goes all the way back to the edge of the 18-yard box. And bearing in mind Chelsea have Ben Chilwell and Lewis Hall. I mean, Lewis Hall may end up not turning out to be a top international player like Ben Chilwell, but it does beg the question why they spent 62 million quid on Cucurella. Ball on the far side. Zakaria goes in on Carlos Vinicius. The referee waves away any protests of a foul. They're asking for a penalty. Not sure they're going to get one.
I can see why they're appealing for it, because it'd have been a soft one. We've seen them given, you know, he's gone down in the 18-yard box. Good play down the left-hand side by Willian.
There wasn't really much contact, was there? I mean, it was literally just a... I mean, was there even an arm in the back? There was definitely no contact with the feet.
No, but you know, it's modern-day football, Sam. Players are going to go down, and these Fulham fans are going to literally, every single time there's an opportunity, they're going to shout as you would do. So, but for me, what I've liked about what I've seen from Fulham so far is that they're fearless. You know, they're high-pressing.
Oh, VAR are checking for a possible penalty here.
I mean, he's gone through the back
from
of him.
Behind. Actually, he may well have just touched the back of the ankle. No, they've decided against that. It's just play on.
I mean, they have to check it, and that's the consistency that we want, you know. Check it and see.
One by Havertz on the edge of the centre circle. Up to João Felix. He's trying to get a shot away. Might come through to Mason Mount, who's kept it alive inside the penalty area. Kovacic with a volley. Takes a deflection over the top of the crossbar and out for a corner off Kenny Tete for the first corner of the game for Chelsea. I mean, this has all come about, though, the reason that the Fulham fans and the Fulham players are getting agitated, because of the way that David Coote started to handle the game, blowing the whistle too often.
Absolutely, and didn't let the game flow. I thought, you know, João Felix has picked up the ball there. I thought it was quite a poor run from Mason Mount, because he's just run straight across him, and João Felix's shot has actually hit Mason Mount. I'd have liked to have seen Lewis Hall just be a little bit more positive, getting down the left-hand side and providing an option for João Felix.
Corner to be taken far side. Mason Mount, hand in the air, delivers a right-footed outswinger in towards Thiago Silva, whose looping header drips past the post on the left-hand side and just fades away into the Chelsea contingent behind the goal. The Chelsea supporters that have made the very short journey across the borough of Kensington and Chelsea into Hammersmith and Fulham. And they are here today watching their team, hoping their team can get back to winning ways. Actually, the Chelsea Stadium, Stamford Bridge, is narrowly in the borough of Hammersmith and Fulham. Just narrowly. There's a bridge that divides the two boroughs of London, and it's just across the divide of Kensington and Chelsea. Here is Koulibaly just inside the centre circle. Back to Koulibaly on the halfway line again. Bright orange boots for him tonight. Long sleeve shirt for Kovacic as he nudges the ball down the left side of the Chelsea attack. Gets it back from João Felix. The fair-haired Lewis Hall takes over. Back goes to João Felix. Good movement from him again. But Fulham are well stationed and well set up, and they're in a good shape.
Absolutely, and I think what I like about what I've seen so far, Kovacic, one thing I realised from the World Cup was Kovacic is very good on the ball, which is really, really good. But I think, you know, with someone like João Felix in there, he's always available, and he looks like a player that's come in and he wants to be that main man. He wanted to be that main man at Atletico Madrid. That didn't really quite work out. At the beginning of his career there, yes, but towards the latter stages it hasn't. Obviously he's still on loan, but when he's come here now, it's a perfect environment to sign, because you want to come in and if you want to be that main player, you can be a hero. And certainly Chelsea have looked decent so far, I would say. Kai Havertz should have put that in after 3 minutes.
19 minutes gone, still 0-0. Chelsea and Fulham have both had chances as the ball's delivered towards the far post from the corner kick over on the far side by Mount. Chalobah doesn't get hold of it, goes back down the left. João Felix in a bit of space here, a right-footed ball into the centre, a little bit nonchalant, and it's cleared away by Fulham. Chalobah tries to keep it alive. Trevor Chalobah gives it back to Kovacic, and then Kovacic chips it back to Kepa Arrizabalaga, who chests it down and moves the ball out. He looked pretty comfortable there, didn't he? You know, used his chest and started to play a little bit, like these goalkeepers do nowadays. I
don't know about Kovacic doing a no-look pass like that, because I don't think that he realised Kepa was that high up.
You just said he was good on the ball.
He is good on the ball, but that's obviously the commentator's curse. Whenever you give someone a compliment, then they kick the ball out of play or something. But, you know, for me, Chelsea have just got to show a little bit of intent, and we've seen that. That's what the fans want. They want to see them up for the game.
Here is Anthony Robertson down the left-hand side. Oh, it's cut out by Chalobah and cleared away. It's gone out of play on the far side. Problem is you know, I thought even against Manchester City last Thursday night, they were the better team in the first half, but couldn't find a finish. They could not find a way through, and that has been a problem for them. You know, we mentioned it earlier. They've scored 19 goals fewer than at this stage of last season. That's a huge amount. It's a ridiculous amount of goals to have lost somehow, some way.
It is, but also, you know, they're playing with two players up front tonight that are not number 9s. They can do a job there, but they're not an out-and-out number 9. Aubameyang's hasn't really done anything to show that he really wants to be there, and I was a big fan of Aubameyang's at Arsenal, and when he was at Barcelona as well, I thought he did a good job, but he doesn't look happy, and we all know what happens when Aubameyang's not happy. He ends up leaving. So, you know, they've not got a centre forward that can put the ball in the back of the net. Mason Mount hasn't been scoring goals either, and he usually does. Has scored a lot of goals from those deep lying positions.
Fulham have a corner on the right side, and they're pretty good from them. Andreas Pereira sends it short this time to Willian, who gets it to the edge of the box. Harrison Reed cracks one. It's cleared away by Chalobah. Unlikely for Harrison Reed to be too accurate from that sort of distance. It took him 110 appearances to score his first Fulham goal, and he's only scored one since. So he's not a regular goal scorer. But Fulham actually pretty good from those corner kick situations. They have been a big weapon for Marco Silva and his team. They've scored 10 Premier League goals from corners this season, the joint most with Tottenham. And the bad news for Chelsea is they're pretty bad in terms of defending them. They are the worst in the league. They've conceded 6 from corners so far this season, similar to the amount that Bournemouth have conceded. Here is Willian on the right-hand side, trying to turn away from Koulibaly, who's chasing him back to the halfway line. It's given away by Willian to Havertz, and then João Felix on the half turn. Could have played in Mason Mount, didn't. Went back instead to Kovacic in a congested midfield area, and they slip it from the edge of the centre circle out wide to the left, and now Hall nudges it on towards Havertz. Back to Kovacic. Not too many options again for Chelsea in a forward position. Kovacic flicked it through a very tight gap, looking to try and find João Felix, but João Felix just turned, glared at him as if to say, was that meant for me? Because it went miles wide of me.
Maybe I've jinxed Kovacic, because ever since I said he's good on the ball, and in the World Cup for Croatia, he had a different game to what I'd ever seen him play.
Definitely think it's you.
It's definitely me. I'll put it all on me. Most people probably would as well. But, you know, when I look at this, though, João Felix is dropping in between the lines, looking for the ball. There's no runners. That was a perfect example. Mason Mount is making that run down the right-hand side, but this is why, I mean, Manchester City played without a number 9 last year, but they're Manchester City. You know, they've got absolute unbelievable creative players in and around their midfield that can make those runs. But for me, Kai Havertz doesn't offer enough. I like him, but doesn't offer enough.
The ball has been thrown back down the right side by Chelsea, looking for the run of Havertz. Cesar Azpilicueta's delivery went straight out of play, and it goes out for a goal kick away to our left. And in red tonight, Bernd Leno, the goalkeeper who signed from Arsenal. All 4 of his clean sheets, by the way, have come in the last 8 Premier League games. Will kick clear, and he does kick clear, high up into the evening sky. Looking for Vinicius, headed down by Chalobah, who's made another mistake. De Cordova-Reid free. If Vinicius can find it, he can. He hits the crossbar. It comes back out into the box, drops for Willian. Willian tries to get it under control and then gets it onto his right foot, shoots, it takes a deflection, and Lewis Hall will clear. I mean, everyone stood up in front of me as that ball cracked the top of the crossbar, and I stood up and nearly fell into you. I mean, it was one hell of an effort.
Oh, it was fantastic. They could overread down his right-hand side. I mean, it looked like he just hit it as hard as he could. Really good kick from Leno, and it was showing that, like, I thought Chalobah should have done a little bit better in that situation. It looked like it was pretty calm. You can see what Bernd Leno was trying to do. But when the Cordova-Reid gets the ball in that position, he just hits it as hard as he could. And, you know, it hits the middle of the goal in the crossbar. He didn't really catch it too well. It catches Kepa Arrizabalaga off guard because he just catches it and hits it. Good effort in the end, but Trevor Chalobah has to be doing better there. 100%.
Mistake from Trevor Chalobah, and he's made one or two of those so far in this game. And Lewis Hall under pressure gets it back to Arrizabalaga. He too has had a couple of nervy moments as well, Lewis Hall. And Chelsea really need to get back to stamping their authority on the game as they did in the opening minutes of the match. They played 23.5 minutes, and it's 0-0 on Talksport. It's whizzed by with Car Finance 24/7. Search Car Finance 24/7 today. Ball on to Willian. Infield it goes. Finds Pereira for Fulham, wearing white and black tonight. On to Kenny Tete, who moves it up towards the right angle of the penalty area. Cordova-Reid tries to go past Lewis Hall. Good defending by him. And he gives it back to him. And Cordova-Reid delivers a cross into the box. Chalobah misjudged it. It comes back to Willian, who shifts it onto his right foot. He'll shoot low, take a deflection, and in! Willian scores against his former team. Refuses to celebrate, but everybody else inside Craven Cottage does. Fulham have taken the lead. And after two warning signs, Chelsea have imploded at the back twice. Chalobah and Lewis Hall, both of them making mistakes. Young players with a little bit of naivety have allowed Fulham to get a foothold in the game. And Willian has put Fulham in front. They lead by a goal to nil.
It's so difficult because it's just come from Lewis Hall. He defended really well the initial play, and then he kind of showed a little bit of naivety here. They called Reid, you know, wins the ball back. Lewis Hall does well in this instance. Trevor Chalobah heads the ball away, not really knowing anything about it, and then Willian cuts inside and it takes a deflection of Trevor Chalobah. But defensively, that just isn't good enough. You know, there's no conviction in Chelsea's defending. Now, Azpilicueta's trying to get close to it, but Fulham, you could see the momentum was changing. You could see it, the fans could feel it, and they're pressing Chelsea so high. It's unfortunate in the end because it takes a deflection, but fair play to Willian. I mean, it's gone through Trevor Chalobah's legs in the end.
His legs are wider than the Blackwall Tunnel.
I know, it's really poor.
Why is his stance like that? I don't understand that.
I mean, I'm not a defender, Sam, but what I do know is that's not how you defend. You know, you can't be defending like that. There's no excuses. I mean, he's given away the ball. We all give away the ball, it happens. But 5 minutes ago, he's headed the ball straight to Vinicius. So, you know, there's no confidence there. And to be fair, like I said, Chelsea were possessing the ball, but Fulham, they could smell blood and they went for it. You can see it, and fair play to him. And now, you know, Chelsea are going to have to show some kind of fight. We'll talk about conviction. For me, that is one thing that is lacking from Kai Havertz's his game. You know, we can see the quality he possesses, but he just doesn't have enough. In that, you have to have vigour, you have to have conviction. And I'm going back to it because it was 3 minutes into the game, but that would have changed the game completely. If Chelsea would have put the ball in the back of the net after 3 minutes, the fans would have quietened down a little bit. But right now, I mean, Fulham, fair play to them because they are playing really well. Harrison Reed, you know, Andreas Pereira, absolutely brilliant. Not just him always wanting the ball, but switching the play out on this right-hand side to the Cordova-Reid, and Koulibaly can't get near him.
Well, Chelsea have won 2 and lost 5 of the 7 Premier League games in which they have conceded first so far this season. And they have conceded first in this game. Fulham lead by a goal to nil. The goal coming from Willian. His second goal in Fulham colours after leaving Arsenal. He went on a sort of a run back to Brazil and then got back involved again with football. Came back to West London and signed for Fulham. Went to Arsenal for a short period, very short period. Didn't really work out for him there, but it certainly worked out for him here. 5 major titles at Chelsea, but a big goal for Fulham against them here this evening in South West London. And Fulham lead by a goal to nil. And how Chelsea react to this and how Graham Potter reacts to this is going to tell us a lot about them, I think.
I mean, they showed Graham Potter's face, as they do, you know, as soon as the goal went in, and he just looked startled. But, you know, going back to Willian, when he first started training with Fulham, it wasn't necessarily to sign for them, because when he was at Arsenal, it looked like Willian's career was done. You know, he was so poor. But since he went to Fulham, he signed, and he's been brilliant.
João Felix played in by Kovacic, edge of the area, taking on Tosin, trying to get the shot away. He does get the shot away, but it's low and hard, but not either side of Bernd Leno. Right at him, and he drops very easily, the German goalkeeper, and picks the ball up from the floor.
Yeah, still dangerous though. I mean, like I said, he's eventually one of those are going to go in. He's always looking threatening. He's always on the ball, and he's hit the ball. He hasn't caught it too truly, but again, he's still a threat. And he looks bright. He looks sharp. He looks ready to go.
Yeah, he certainly looks brighter in front of goal than Havertz. I mean, he's shooting on sight, isn't he? And that's one of Chelsea's major problems. I mentioned it on the Game Day podcast in the preview to this game. Podcast which will preview all the weekend's footballing action, not just this match. You can download it from the Talksport app or wherever you get your podcast, the Game Day podcast from Talksport. And which I said that Chelsea have had 186 shots this season. 17 teams have had more than them. Southampton have had more shots than Chelsea this season, which is a real worry. It
is, and for a team like Chelsea, it is concerning because we're used to them playing free-flowing football, creating loads of chances, making those runs. But I do think this time next year, Sam, Chelsea can look completely different. Regards to not even transfers coming in, I'm talking about the injuries that they've had. N'Golo Kante, those types of players, Chilwell, Reece James. Like this Chelsea team would look completely different, but they have to play, the cards at the hand that they're dealt with right now. They have to.
The ball played in from the right side by Chelsea, straight into the box it goes, and it's distributed upfield by Leno, and then he's given it straight to Lewis Hall. Lewis Hall to Havertz, back to Felix. Felix then tries to send it back down towards Havertz, then he loses control and Paulinho nabs it from him, takes it to the far side and wins it back for Fulham, who lead by a goal to nil. Marco Silva deserves a big pat on the back after being written off after his Everton and Watford experiences. He's stuck the style that got Fulham promoted. They're attack-minded. Their games are always entertaining. This certainly has been, and they lead by a goal to nil.
And some managers just fit, Sam. Marco Silva at Everton didn't really fit. In fact, none of the managers at Everton seem to have really fit of late, and obviously the Everton fans have showed that. But I think you look at this Chelsea team, Graham Potter doesn't fit them for me. You look at Marco Silva, it fits him at Fulham. And, for me, there's a lot of stories within this team, and I mentioned it before the game. They could talk about recruitment. Oh, it's fantastic. Such good recruitment. But nobody would have ever seen Andreas Pereira, from Manchester United that went out on loan. He was never really, it was average at best. Has been absolutely sensational for Fulham this year. He's involved in everything. Tim Ream, goes to a World Cup. His career looked like it was going to be more or less over. So Marco Silva, for me, has to have really good man management skills because he's getting the best out of some players that most people would think were average before they signed here.
Chalobah has just committed a foul on Vinicius, giving away a free kick. And his hands were all over Vinicius. He's had a very clumsy start to the game, Trevor Chalobah. Free kick over on the far side, a yard in from the touchline. Pereira is about to take it right-footed. He'll drip this in towards the penalty area. Vinicius waiting for it. And Tim Ream has come up from the back. Paulinho is quite lofty, is in there too. And Tosin is inside the zone, running towards the near post now, trying to get free. It's aimed in towards Paulinho, who gets hold of it, brings it down, shoots. It's blocked by Havertz. It goes behind and away for a corner. It's a right old mess going on inside the 18-yard box. There might have been an offside flag, actually, which will stop the corner from being given. In fact, there is on this near touchline. But Chelsea a little bit confuzzled by what happened there with Pereira delivering the ball into the box, and just not set up right, were they?
Absolutely not, and they look rattled at the back. Thiago Silva's been brilliant for them this year, probably the only light really, but that was a fantastic ball from Andreas Pereira, but they didn't get anywhere near the Fulham players. Defensively, Trevor Chalobah has had a really poor first half. I'll be very surprised, and I'm sure Graham Potter just needs a little bit of, he's probably thinking, come on lads, give me something, because
they've given the ball away again here. Koulibaly this time from Kepa Arrizabalaga's pass out towards the near side. It was a dreadful pass out. It was at chest height, about 6 yards outside the penalty area. He lost control of it and then gave Fulham the ball. Now they're breaking Chelsea and coming up the field, but they look completely out of sorts now they've conceded that first goal here. Here is Zakaria onto Koulibaly. Can they get themselves back straight in some way, shape or form? Out to Hall on the left-hand side. He meanders infield, gives it to Koulibaly. He's got Kovacic to his left, but it's all a bit slow, and Fulham just much more organised. Snap back in, but here's João Felix trying to beat the lines. He does beat the lines, gets no contact on the ball. And it was a great run by him, and a really good ball into the box to find him from Kovacic. But it's still 1-0 to Fulham.
It looked like the linesman had his flag up as well, so it looked like he maybe went a little bit early.
Yeah, he did.
But again, threatening the back line, regardless, he didn't think he was offside. He still got to get a toe on that for me. But really good positive play again from Chelsea. Lewis Hall down his left-hand side, obviously made a mistake for the opening goal to make it 1-0. But I like him. I like Lewis Hall. I think he's got a bit about him. Obviously, we know he's not Ben Chilwell, but not many players are when it comes to delivering the ball. But I think positionally, he's very, very good. But just showed a little bit of naivety on that first goal. But it happened. He's only young.
This is Talksport, and it's currently Fulham 1, Chelsea 0. And for the latest odds, you can head to Ladbrokes, where right now you can get Fulham to win at 10-11. A draw is 11-5, and Chelsea win is 16-5. It's all thanks to Ladbrokes. 18 plus BeGambleAware.org. You can play at Ladbrokes.com. Fulham thought they were getting to escape down the right-hand side. Didn't quite work out for them, and the ball's been pumped upfield by Chelsea. But Pereira's quickly turned it over, and Fulham have it back again. Excellent play by him into Vinicius. Chalobah this time wins the ball cleanly and lays it off to Mason Mount. Mount to Kovacic. Kovacic through the centre circle. Slaloms past Harrison Reed. Slips it out to the far side, the right. Azpilicueta in the right wing position. Delivers across into the box. Looking for Mount. Into the air it goes. Hall will hit this first time. Takes a deflection. Punched away by Lennon. And Leno will push it round the post and out for a corner kick. Lewis Hall's had two great opportunities now coming in from that left flank. That one he didn't look too confident with. He just swiped at the ball. He was lucky it took a deflection, which actually almost diverted it into the net, and Bernd Leno had to react and did so. Yeah,
in the end, Lewis Hall hit it into the ground, it looks like. It was almost on the half body. He didn't catch it too truly. But Tosin, was there to block it. But good play from Chelsea. I mean, Azpilicueta down the right-hand side, but there still isn't much movement, because when you're playing without a number 9, no one's making that front post run, middle of the penalty spot, the far post. It's almost Mason Mount has got 3 players that he's being marked by, having to try and head the ball.
Yeah, and that is not the strongest part of his game anyway. Here is Mason Mount down by the corner flag away to our left-hand side. In front of the punt at the end. He hits it right-footed in towards the centre of the 6-yard box. It's flicked away by Tosin. Good strong defending by him. And it bounces once before Kovacic tries an acrobatic scissor kick, which goes right over the top of the crossbar and doesn't threaten Bernd Leno's goal. You're listening to Fulham Chelsea on Talksport, and Fulham are leading by a goal to 0 with Now Sports. Don't forget that with Now Sports you can stream the Premier League live without a contract from $11.99. Search Now Sports 18 plus. Stream via the internet. Terms apply. Here's Leanne Sanderson. With
Kovacic, though, he has that in his locker to only score top quality goals because he has it within him. But that was a little bit far-fetched, from that position. But for me, you look at Chelsea's bench, you've got Conor Gallagher, Hakim Ziyech potentially that could come on and make a difference. But for me, Chelsea have just looked all over the place defensively. I think in the attack, they showed decent sparks. But Mason Mount is getting the ball, as we just saw then, and he's got 3 players. And Fulham have done such a good job defending. Chelsea are turning over the ball so much.
Trevor Chalobah has just gone in a very late challenge, and he could find himself in a bit of bother here. It's a yellow card on the halfway line for the way he connected with Paulinho. I just think he was a little bit high. His studs were up. He's lost his head a little bit here. He's obviously made a mistake for the goal. I mean, I'm not necessarily sure it's a yellow card challenge, although his foot has come down on the top of João Paulinho, but it's just the way he dived in for the challenge. It was always going to draw the referee's attention. It
was just erratic, really. And I think, when you're in that moment where you feel like you're in a hole and you're sinking, Trevor Chalobah in his first half, he's given away the ball on numerous occasions. He certainly looks rattled. So for me, he needs to get in at half-time and just regroup, have a moment to himself, because he certainly looked really, really poor. And to be fair to him, at least he's putting himself about. But that type of tackle, you're never going to win the ball when you tackle like that. I was never the best defensively at tackling, but as a player, when you tackle like that, you're not going to win the ball. And there's a high risk that some of the fans were even calling for a red card. It's not a red card. No. But I can understand initially why they might appeal for that, because don't give the referee an opportunity like that. He overran the ball. So, Chelsea need to find a way, and they need to dig deep. And what I'm noticing right now is you just don't really see much communication. You don't see many leaders in this team. Obviously, we've got Thiago Silva, we know is a leader, but there's a lot of players in this team that just look like, they need a little bit of a lucky break, need a little bit of magic. And that's why I think João Felix can be really pivotal in this Chelsea team, because he's come into the team at a really negative part, but he's coming in trying to be that person that's hoping things can change. But for me, João Felix can't do it on his own.
Because ultimately, if he gets a goal early on, he may well go on a run where he gets 1 or 2 and they look a little bit more potent. But they, at the moment, and have done recently, look impotent. This is a real worry for Chelsea. The fact that the sheer number of goals they're not scoring. Here is João Felix swiping the ball down the right touchline, looking to try and find Havertz, who goes round the defender, gets to the byline, pulls it across the 6-yard box, is blocked by Reed, and now Piliqueta will strike it, takes a deflection and goes out for a corner of Chelsea away to our left-hand side. But Fulham have started brightly in the game. They're competing well with Chelsea. You know, they look more of a unit than Chelsea do. Chelsea, at the moment, look a little bit like a team of individuals, really, rather than a cohesive unit of well-drilled men from the training ground. Here's the corner into the near post. It's cleared away out on the far side.
But even on corners, you know, they've had quite a number of set pieces right now. And when Fulham get a set piece with Andreas Pereira, they look threatening. When Chelsea get a corner, some of the players, Koulibaly, Zakaria, they're in there before the ball's even come in. There's almost no... I know people emphasise now there's set piece coaches and all that, but as a player, you don't run in before the ball's been kicked unless you're someone that's there to be a blocker. You know, and a lot of the Chelsea players, I mean, that wasn't the greatest of ball in from Mason Mount, but the players just don't look like they know exactly where they're supposed to be. And set pieces can be quite deadly, as we've seen with a lot of teams.
Yeah, well, there is pressure, and if it continues, those calls for a change of direction will increase in volume. But the truth is that Graham Potter has got a good reputation because of the work that he did do at Östersunds when, again, he started getting a little bit of criticism there. He spoke about that yesterday. Swansea, Brighton. Patience might well have to be a virtue. And if Chelsea can retain that patience, and they haven't been ones that have done that in the past, but it's a new regime now, then they may well get the fruit of that benefit. But it's certainly going to be a long road, you would feel, at the moment, the way things are panning out. Koulibaly smacks the ball over the halfway line as Fulham threaten another attack. Tosin's under pressure here from Havertz, who's got the wrong side of him, into the penalty area. He's being backed up by João Felix, who on the edge of the box strikes right-footed, saved by Leno, down low to his right, parries the ball away, and it's cleared. As Piliqueta gets towards the right-hand side, tries to nudge it into Mason Mount. William rescues it for Fulham. Now they can counter-attack, and it's through towards Harrison Reed. Kovacic again was penalised. Interesting that the referee decided to give that as a free kick, bearing in mind that it was happening behind him and he had his back to the play. But anyway, it is a free kick just short of the centre circle.
But that came out of nothing, you know, that initial play from Tosin. For me, it was too nonchalant, a little bit lapsidaisical, which has allowed, you know, João Felix to get another shot off and Kai Havertz to link that play. But Fulham cannot switch off, you know, it's still only 1-0. Chelsea haven't played, you know, their best football, but João Felix has been, he's had so many shots on goal. You know, so many. Yeah, they've been half chances, but at least that's a positive that he's getting into those positions.
Deckled over Reed on the right side, gets it back to Kenny Tete. The recoupment at Fulham looks a tad more shrewd than that has been done at Chelsea. When you look at the players they've brought into the first team this year, William, we already mentioned. Andreas Pereira has done a brilliant job. Well, across comes Koulibaly and Chalobah. And he smashes the ball, Koulibaly into Chalobah, and Decordova-Reid is a little bit more alert than Koulibaly, who didn't realise that the ball was being thrown in from the left-hand side and almost allowed him to wander into a free position inside the box. You can't be offside from a throw. Fulham almost exploited that as Pereira then just jinks with the ball down the left-hand side and wanders into an advanced position. Chelsea nudge it out. It's out for a throw on the far side, but Fulham look more confident, they look more organised, they look more cohesive than Chelsea in this first 41 minutes.
Absolutely, and what I see right now, I mean, Koulibaly and Trevor Chalobah look like they've never played with each other before. They're getting in each other's way, there's no communication. Thiago Silva, you can see he's communicating with Koulibaly, but these players have to take responsibility themselves, and they look all over the place. You've got Azpilicueta in there, and, you know, Thiago Silva that are absolute top professionals that have played for Chelsea, you know, Azpilicueta for a number of years, but Trevor Chalobah and Koulibaly just look all over the place.
Corner, far side, whipped in by Pereira, whipped in by Pereira, cleared away by the Chelsea defence, goes out on the far side from Mason Mount after the initial ball was cleared, and it's a throw in midway inside the Chelsea half of the field. Chelsea have had 57% possession, they've had 12 shots on goal, 3 of them on target, and yet it remains Fulham who lead by a goal to nil. They've only had 1 shot on target in the game, and that was the one that snuck through the legs of Trevor Chalobah and then went in beyond Kepa Arrizabalaga. It's 1-0 to the home team. Williams' goal after 25 minutes separates the two. Tosin allowed to wander a long way with the ball, tries to hand it off to Koulibaly. Thiago Silva then tries to work it out to the near side, but again it's not connected. There's no sort of real symbiosis with this Chelsea team. Here is Reed down the right-hand side, moving towards the edge of the penalty area. Pereira tries to stick it in towards the 18-yard box, but his touch is loose. Chalobah, he intercepts, and then he plays the ball out towards the right side and gives it straight to Fulham. Another mistake by him. William picks it up, moves towards the edge of the area. Decordova-Reid sends it square. Hall gets something on it, but still Fulham have possession. Tete with a cross towards the far post, looking for Vinicius. Heads it down across the goalkeeper and mishandles and invites a challenge from Decordova-Reid. It's cleared away by Thiago Silva. Another good Fulham opportunity. Cleared away by Lewis Hall, and he swipes the ball into the night sky, and it goes out for a throw-in. And the locals getting a bit raucous, and they're sensing the possibility of a big victory here.
It looked like initially for me that Vinicius was trying to head it back across goal to the Decordova-Reid, but maybe he was, because there wasn't enough pace on it. But Kepa should have done a lot better there. I mean, he's fortunate in the end that Thiago Silva was there to be able to, clear up the scraps. But again, so many unforced errors, so many uncharacteristic-like mistakes from these Chelsea players. And I'm sure, for me, Graham Potter's going to have to say to them, I mean, Graham Potter's a top manager. You mentioned the teams he's managed before, Sam, but no disrespect, they're not Chelsea. So all these other teams that he's managed, Brighton, yes, everybody said, he needs to have a big job. He turned down the Tottenham job from what we're made to believe, but these players need to do more.
Tete into the centre from the right side, down by the corner flag. It's headed away by Chelsea. Fulham lead by 0-0 with a minute to go before half-time. After us tonight, 10 o'clock, Sports Bar with Jordan Jarrett, Bryan and Perry Groves. Tomorrow morning, Sports Breakfast, Alan Brazil and Ray Parler and Glenn Hoddle and the Newcastle defender Dan Burner on breakfast tomorrow, 6 o'clock. Alan and Ray on tomorrow from the minute you wake up. I'll be on at 7:30 for Cursor the commentator. I think I'm sneaking back up to almost level pegging with Ray now. 1-0. Here on this Thursday night live football for you on Talksport, with Chelsea trailing once again and struggling once again. And defensively, I mean, you heard a clip actually in one of the packages that we did earlier in the night, where Nigel Adderley, who was commentating on that Manchester City game on Sunday, said it's the worst he's seen Chelsea at the back for many a year. And he's not wrong.
No, absolutely not.
João
I completely agree.
Out towards the right-hand side. Azpilicueta trying to turn away from Anthony Robinson. Gives it back to Chalobah, who plays it square into Kovacic. Pink boots on tonight. Going to be 3 added minutes at the end of the first half, but Chelsea haven't progressed any further than the penalty area and given it away again.
The problem is as well, you look at the likes of players like Mason Mount, they're not the type of luxury players that Chelsea are used to having. I think Mason Mount works well with players around him, with the likes of N'Golo Kante that's there. He's one of those players that has a lot of, I would say a lot of confidence, but at the same time a lot of fans believe in him. The managers always seem to believe in him, but he needs to do more. For me as well, Mason Mount is going down this right-hand side. Is the manager asking him to go out on the right flank and whip a ball in the box? That's not Mason Mount's strengths. So for me, what I'm seeing is that a lot of the Chelsea players are doing jobs that they're not comfortable doing, and it's not playing to their strengths. Mason Mount's strengths is making that third player run almost like a Frank Lampard, edge of the box, picking up the ball, running in, making those third man runs, not whipping the ball in from the right hand side. And then Kai Havertz is just reacting off of what João Felix is doing. Kovacic is kind of making a move out here, but with these back players in the back line, I mean, we can see it here. Thiago Silva's trying to organise them, but they have to go back to basics, because Trevor Chalobah and Koulibaly, they're not doing the basics. They can't even control the ball and just play it.
Well, Chelsea's top 4 hopes look increasingly thin after only 2 wins in the last 8 Premier League away games, and they are struggling once again here on the road at Fulham, trailing by 0-0 under the lights at Craven Cottage. We're in the Johnny Haynes stand, the listed building, which has got its wooden seats and its rickety old stands with the stanchions holding up the roof above our head. And we've got celebrities around us. Hugh Grant was sitting in the row in front of us. In fact, he got up, actually obscured my view of a corner earlier. We'll get the producer to tell him about that. Here is Tosin trying to play out from the back. Sends it down the touchline, looking for Decordova-Reid. Koulibaly comes across, cuts it out, goes out and away for a throw-in, level with the halfway line. And we are only about 10-15 rows back from the halfway line. We've got a very good view of this near touchline where Kenny Tete is just coming out now to receive the ball, wearing his black gloves. He's going to throw the ball in down the touchline and look for the run of Carlos Vinicius, who didn't get hold of it but still managed to work it through to Decordova-Reid. Zakaria goes chasing him towards the corner flag. He plays it against Zakaria, still gets hold of it. Zakaria is forced to put it out for a throw-in down by the corner flag, and Fulham just seem to have the minerals. They know what they're doing. They've got the smarts that are required to get themselves through to the break.
Absolutely, they've got tenacity, they've got conviction. I mean, that all came from a throw. Lewis Hall didn't go on the toes of the Decordova-Reid, and he ends up with the ball because he has that vigour, that energy to try and get on the end of it, and that conviction. So, you know, fair play to the Decordova-Reid, because I think he's caused a lot of problems for Lewis Hall down this right-hand side.
Well, Marco Silva promised yesterday to ensure that Chelsea knew they were playing away from home. They do. They really do. Even without Mitrovic, Fulham are beating Chelsea at the break, thanks to a goal from Chelsea's former left winger in Willian. He won 5 major titles with them, but he's got the opening goal of this game after 25 minutes. João Felix had about 4 or 5 decent opportunities in that first half. He looked lively, but it's still Chelsea who are waiting for a goal. They've struggled in front of Fulham's net once more at half-time. It's Fulham 1, Chelsea 0.
Sam, thank you very much. These Fulham fans very pleased at the break here at Craven Cottage. The home side leads, and it's what we almost expected coming into it, Leanne Sanderson. The tail of the tape, well, Chelsea basically have had the better of it in terms of the stats. 54% possession. They've had 14 shots, 5 of those on target, but they trail by 1-0. And you'd have to say that's fair on what we've seen so far?
I'd say so. I think you've got to look at Fulham, and many people have touched upon the recruitment. They've made these amazing signings. I don't think anybody would have expected Andres Pereira, Paulinho, Bernd Leno, Tim Ream. All these players are playing absolutely brilliantly well. They really are. William, his career looked like it was over at Arsenal. Goes to train at Fulham in pre-season. Obviously, there must be an infectious feeling around the club because players want to play there. And these players are playing out of their skin. What I see from Chelsea, they don't have that hunger. They don't have that fight. And that comes from the manager. It does as well. You have to have it within yourself. I don't understand why so many players in this day and age need that. You need to do this, you need to do that. When I played, I know it's not the same level, but I had enough belief within myself. Play for me. Play for my friends. Play for my family that are here watching. Play for the fans. Some of these players are walking around the pitch, and we all have bad days. We really do. But Trevor Chalobah and Koulibaly, Koulibaly, they were crying out for him to come from Napoli for so long. He's got here, and he's been poor since he's come here. A lot of money, a lot of energy of people saying how great he is, and he's been really poor. Maybe he needs more time to settle in, but he's been so poor.
One of the players who I think has been good for Chelsea tonight, and we've got to say he's probably been the best player on the park so far in terms of the threat, is their new loan signing, João Felix from Atletico Madrid. He's been running in behind. He's had a number of shots at goal. He's looked a real threat. He's looked quality with the ball as well. His teammates maybe just letting him down.
Absolutely. Kai Havertz has to put that in the back of the net, Hugh. 3 minutes into the game, he had no conviction. João Felix did a lovely nutmeg on Tim Ream. That's an introduction to the Premier League. If he was ready, he looked sharp. And, no disrespect, we all make mistakes, but Kai Havertz has to put that in the back of the net. Under this type of pressure this Chelsea team are under, that would have alleviated a lot of the pressure. But João Felix has showed a lot of brightness. He looks sharp, but I said it before the show, João Felix isn't the answer. He's not going to be that player that's going to take Chelsea into the Champions League. They need far more. But defending the way they have again tonight, the same as they defended at the weekend in every single game, that needs to be sorted out. And usually, Graham Potter's team's usually really organised, but it's not just him. The players are giving away the ball. Trevor Chalobah, he's having a really, really poor game here.
Well, there was a warning.
Too much on him.
Well, there was a warning. Let's be fair. These are professionals at Chelsea in the Premier League. Maybe it's just bodies and they need to put Trevor Chalobah out there, but ultimately, he's had a bit of a run in the team due to injuries, and it's up to his manager Graham Potter to get the best out of him.
Yeah, but he wasn't that bad, Hugh.
But there was a warning. There was a warning. Trevor Chalobah gives the ball away. Decordova-Reid smashes the ball off the crossbar. It could have been worse at the break for Chelsea. And a minute later, yes, young, inexperienced players learning their trade, but Lewis Hall, simple clearance up the line, decides to try and dribble it, has possession robbed. It's crossed into the box. Chalobah tries to head away, goes straight to Willian, who shoots, and Chalobah deflects it into the back of the net. It was lacklustre defending. It's not what we expect from a club of this ilk, and it doesn't matter if you're 18, 19 or 20 years old. It's the commitment and intensity. It's not necessarily the quality and that cheap loss of possession is characterising them at the back. We spoke about Thiago Silva, the influence of a player of his stature and experience, and it is not passing over to his young teammates at the moment.
No, and none of these, what I see right now, none of the Chelsea players are excelling. João Felix looks like a bright spark because he's just got here. You know, hopefully it won't become like the way the other players, the new signings that came in, Sterling, Aubameyang, you know, it doesn't look like a team that's in full flow at the moment. It really doesn't. And you've only got to look at this Fulham lineup, right? How many of those players would get in this Chelsea team? But do you know what? I'd have all of them tonight because they're fighting for every first ball, every second ball. They're in amongst it. The Cordova-Reid's been absolutely brilliant. And some of these players, you think to yourself, you know, Andres Pereira, fantastic. Willian gets the goal, gets the deflection, but they have that energy and it's a really good feel around the club. And fair play to Marco Silva and his players because they deserve to be 1-0 up. They really do.
Well, you feel like Fulham are the only side who actually know this is a West London derby, means so much to these fans inside Craven Cottage. They're smiling, they're having a laugh, they're totally relaxed. They don't know what it feels like to face Chelsea and be so comfortable at the break. Yes, it is only 1-0 on the scoreline. Fulham leading thanks to Willian's deflected effort against his former club. He didn't celebrate, but I would love to be a fly on the wall in that Chelsea changing room right now as Graham Potter possibly gives what could be, who knows what will ensue in the next 45 minutes, his final team talk, if you like, as Chelsea boss. The pressure is mounting at the break live on Talksport. It is Fulham 1, Chelsea 0.
Kickoff on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Are you in? Let's go. Play at ladbrokes.com. 18 plus begambleaware.org.
You what? You what? You what? You what? You what? You're not watching the big footy games in a pub and grill fan zone at Village Hotels? Who are you? Premier League and big games on giant screens, stadium seats, great lineup of beers, and dirty burgers and bar snacks to tackle. Plus, win big game tickets, beer for a year, and other great prizes. Visit villagehotels.com/Talksport. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. Always drink responsibly. Who are you?
The new season is here, and The Times on Saturday has all the big interviews, insightful analysis, and stats you need to set you up for a perfect weekend of Premier League action. Subscribe today at thetimes.co.uk/football for provocative and compelling opinions from the best sports writers in the business, including James Gibbrandt, Owen Slott, and the voice of football, Henry Winter.
Lovely bit of football.
Try it free for 1 month at thetimes.co.uk/football. Auto renews at £26 a month unless cancelled. T's and C's apply.
Bing bong. Attentions please, attentions please. We got big new news. Just Eat now does grocery delivery. No problemo if you forgot the only thing you went in the shop to buy. Want ice cream for breakfast? Caught the cat licking the butter. So, don't cry over spilt milk. Get it delivered to your door from Just Eat instead. Grocery delivery. We got it.
Did somebody say Just Eat?
Only available from participating stores and selected locations. Products subject to availability. Service charge may apply. See justeat.co.uk for more details.
We've got it at Selco. Selco, it's where the trade go.
At Selco Builders Warehouse, we've got real deals on a wide range of trade quality building products. This month, we've got a Norton Close Coupled Toilet Pack for only £59.99 ex VAT. Now that's a real deal. Find even more real deals at Selco Builders Warehouse and online at selcobw.com.
We've got it at Selco. Selco, it's where the trade go.
That charged at 20%.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Watching the big game cozied up in the snug.
Another 7-0 win!
Balmy summer nights with the kids playing on the lawn.
We're playing real life football!
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of June 2022 and 30th of September 2022 is under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
What does Asahi Super Dry taste like? Crisp, refreshing, and always super dry. A taste as unexpected and surprising as modern Japan. That's right, Japan's #1 beer. Asahi Super Dry, beyond expected. Go to asahisuperdry.com to verify. Enjoy responsibly. Visit drinkaware.co.uk to find out more.
This football season, get a hand from Betfair's popular Bet Builder and easily add our fan favourite football selections to your bet slip in just one tap. Spend less time finger faffing and place your bet the easy way. Now that's handy. Betfair.
Exclusive to Betfair Sportsbook. Terms and conditions apply. Please see frequently asked questions on support.betfair.com. 18 plus BeGambleAware.org.
Game day exclusive on Talksport with Car Finance 24/7. We search a panel of lenders to find you the best deal. Search Car Finance 24/7 today.
It's the ultimate heavy-hitting Premier League experience.
On the app, on DAB, on 1089 and 1053 medium wave, and on your smart speaker.
Game day kick-off
on Talksport.
Fulham shared Chelsea's postcode, but not their form. Their season has been nothing short of fabulous. They can Salco into the top 6 with a win tonight. Here is João Felix down the right-hand side. Skips the ball through the legs of the defender. Sets up Havertz. Gets it back again. Taps it to Lewis Hall. And he shoots straight down the throat of the goalkeeper. Well, it's a massive chance that underscores Chelsea's problems. Cordova-Reid is free. If Vinicius can find it, he can. He hits the crossbar. It comes back to Willian, who shifts it onto his right foot. He'll shoot low. Take a deflection. And in. Willian scores against his former team. Refuses to celebrate. But everybody else inside Craven Cottage does. Fulham have taken the lead. Marco Silva promised yesterday to ensure that Chelsea knew they were playing away from home. They do. They really do. Even without Mitrovic, Fulham are beating Chelsea at the break.
They certainly do. Sam was right. Chelsea know they're in a game, and there is a big 45 minutes ahead for them in terms of their chances in the Premier League this season, and also the future of their manager, Graham Potter. At the break, live on Talksport, it is Fulham who lead Chelsea in this West London derby at Craven Cottage by a 1-0, and it could have been more. They also hit the crossbar thanks to Bobby de Cordova-Reid in that first half as well. It looks like we could see changes from Graham Potter on the way at the start of this second half. We'll discuss those with Leanne Sanderson in a moment. Before we get there, let's get the half-time odds on Talksport with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Are you in? Let's go. Play at ladbrokes.com. 18 plus BeGambleAware.org.
Alex Apati of Ladbrokes joins us once again. Alex, how has that goal changed things? Do you believe that Chelsea have the chance of coming from behind in the second half?
Yeah, it's a complete swing in the betting. We're pretty much looking now at what the odds were either side. So Fulham are just a shade of odds on. That's what Chelsea were to win the game before kick-off. And Chelsea are now 4-1 in the betting for all 3 points. Is it good value? Fulham 4-5. I'm a little torn at the moment. Obviously, remember their horrendous record against Chelsea. They haven't beaten them since 2006, 22 games ago. Listen, on paper, given how recent results have gone, I think you'd be probably mad to back Chelsea to get anything here, but they are creating chances and they're not lacking in depth both on and off the pitch. The issue is, as you mentioned, Marco Silva touched on as well, they're away from home against a side who are more than up for this now. A side who are currently, I think, stand 6th in the table, 6 points ahead of Chelsea. So looking at where Chelsea whom they might call on in terms of coming off the bench, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang does have 4 goals against Fulham from his Arsenal days. If he does come on, obviously he'll be right up there at the head of the betting for a goal. As for what this means to Chelsea and in particular Graham Potter going forward, he was even money before a ball was kicked tonight not to be in charge of Chelsea by the end of the season. He was also 5-1 in the sack race, second favourite. I imagine both of those prices will be drastically cut if we see yet another defeat for Chelsea here.
Alex, thank you very much. That was the latest odds with Ladbrokes. You can play at ladbrokes.com, 18 plus, BeGambleAware.org.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Are you in? Let's go. Play at ladbrokes.com, 18 plus, BeGambleAware.org.
So as I say, a relaxed mood under the lights here at Craven Cottage on the banks of the River Thames. All very, very happy. We're just seeing, and it has been for virtually all of this half, all of Chelsea's substitutes out here warming up in front of us. Leanne Sanderson, the former England striker, alongside me. And the one player who looks like they're most likely to come on is Conor Gallagher, who's taken his jacket off at the start of his warm-up. He went over to the dugout, got an Alice band for his hair, and looks like he is preparing to come on at half-time. How do you think he could change this game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it looks like he's the only player out that looks like he's warming up with some type of intention. But we mentioned it during the break, Hugh, with regards to, players like Lewis Hall. Why would Cucurella not start in this game? Why would a Conor Gallagher not play in this game? Because Jorginho, players that can play, in that position. Zakaria, he looked poor. What does he offer that Jorginho doesn't? Regardless of Jorginho potentially wanting to leave at some point, he's out of contract, but just play the best players you've got there now. So hopefully Graham Potter, whatever he said at half-time, they're going to need something, but fundamentally you have to go back to basics. It sounds weird saying that about this Chelsea team and a team that is Chelsea, but they have to go back to basics, and defensively they've been so poor, so poor.
Well, the Chelsea players are back out, and their coaching staff are making the long walk across the pitch to the dugouts here inside Craven Cottage. What do you think those Chelsea fans away to our left-hand side, Leanne, will want to see from their side in this second 45 minutes? Is it all about the result? Is it about some composure and some passion? What do you think will make them happy leaving Craven Cottage tonight?
I think a win, ultimately.
Is that all?
Yeah, I do, because fundamentally, you know, you want your team to play well, but the team don't look like they have any type of philosophy, pattern, and I think that's what worries the Chelsea fans, and I think that's what, you know, we talk about all the time, whether you support Chelsea or not. You can see Manchester United for so many years had no guidance, had no pattern of play. If you ask me what type of system the Man United player, couldn't tell you. That's what this Chelsea team look like. They look like they don't know where Mason Mount is going down the right flank, whipping balls into the box. That is not his strength. These players, for me, Graham Potter isn't getting the best out of them. Trevor Chalobah is far better than he's showing. A lot of these players individually are far better than they are showing, and that has to come from somewhere, because they're playing way below their standards, all of them. Apart from João Felix tonight, the rest of them I don't think have performed in any way, shape or form. Azpilicueta, we know he usually has a bit of chat, doesn't he? Always in the referee's ear, always going up against his opponent. Even he looks flat. And that says it all for me. So the Chelsea fans want to win. I don't think anything but that tonight. They don't want to see fight and heart, because this is Chelsea. That should come naturally. They want to see a win.
Well, London calling rings out over the tannoy. The Fulham fans in fine voice. Will Todd Bowley be calling Graham Potter a little bit later on tonight? A massive 45 minutes in terms of his future as Chelsea boss is live and exclusive for you here on Talksport. I'll leave you for the second half with the former England striker Leanne Sanderson and Talksport's Sam Matterface.
I'm surprised there are no changes at half-time, but there are no changes for Chelsea at the break, who are about to get us off and underway in the second half of this game. You may remember quite famously that Fulham won here at Craven Cottage against Chelsea in 2006. It was March time. Luis Boamortes on the coaching staff scored for Chris Coleman's team. William Gallas was sent off for Chelsea after the 90-minute mark. But Jose Mourinho infamously made a double substitution after just 26 minutes in that game. Drogba and Damien Duff came on for Joe Cole and Sean Wright-Phillips. Why has Graham Potter decided not to make any changes after that first half?
Well, you tell me, Sam. I mean, we know he's not afraid to do it. He did it against Manchester United earlier in the year when he brought on Kovacic after 30 minutes. So, for me, it's not always about the changes that need to be made. They just need something. They need better quality. And I think, you know, if things don't change after 10, 15 minutes, then he will make that substitution. Conor Gallagher will probably come on, because he looks like the player that came out of half-time with a little bit of intent that he's been told, you know, you're coming on in 10, 15 minutes if nothing changes. So we'll have to wait and see. But these Chelsea fans deserve a lot more than their players are showing. They really do.
Go through the 2-11s for you in just a second. Chelsea shooting from left to right, and Lewis Hall is trying to twirl his way past Bobby De Cordova-Reid, and then Kenny Tete just leaves a little bit on him, and the free kick is given for Chelsea in the wide left position. Fulham have got Bernd Leno in goal. They're wearing white shirts, black shorts and white socks, attacking the goal away to our left in the second half. The right back is Tete. Tosin, Ream and Anthony Robinson make up the back four. Reed and Paulinho in midfield. Andreas Pereira is behind Carlos Vinicius, who leads the line in the absence of Mitrovic, and the flanks are patrolled by Willian and De Cordova-Reid. Chelsea in just a second, wearing blue shirts, blue shorts and blue socks. Right-footed Mount takes a free kick into the centre, comes back towards the near post. Does it go over the line? I think it did. It was stuck inside the 6-yard box by Koulibaly. Mason Mount's delivery looked as if it may well have gone over the line initially when Bernd Leno tried to drag it back, tried to claw it back. It came out to Koulibaly, who then seemed to do the same. Saw his shot repelled by Leno, but it looked as if that went over the line too. The watch went off. I think it went off for the first one, to be honest with you. It certainly went off for the second one. It's Chelsea 1, Fulham 1.
I mean, it's great creativity from Mason Mount, but I think the goalkeeper has to do better there. I mean, he's got completely cool. You know, I have to wait to see again if he's got a one-man wall and it's just gone straight in, it looks like. Or has he hit the post?
I think it's hit the post, came off the goalkeeper. It might have gone in once.
Yeah.
It certainly went in the second time from Koulibaly.
When I first saw it, it looked like the initial one from Mason Mount went in, but on the second one, definitely not from Koulibaly. It's gone over the line, but Mason Mount showed great creativity to try that, because Bernd Leno didn't see that one coming at all. But that's exactly what Chelsea need. They definitely needed that. And it was almost like a carbon copy this time in the first half when Kai Havertz missed that chance. And now, as you can hear, the Chelsea fans are going absolutely mental in that far corner, and the Fulham fans have gone a bit quiet and flat. So that can change everything.
I think they were actually singing "We Are Staying Up" in a rather sarcastic way. 1-1 the score. Fulham 1, Chelsea 1. Chelsea scoring within 3 minutes of the second half. They should have scored within 3 minutes of the first half. They didn't. And as a result of that, allowed Fulham to get a foothold in the game. And Willian scored. I've got William Gallas on the brain after talking about him just moments ago. Willian scored after a deflected shot midway through the first half. Chelsea have responded in kind, but Fulham are coming forward once again. Down the right they come. A little back heel from Kenny Tete into the path of Decordova-Reid. It's cleared away by Zakaria over on the far side. And Chelsea managed to get it clear. Up over the halfway line it goes, looking for Havertz. It's headed on by Tim Ream and then picked up in the left side by Anthony Robinson, the USA international defender, who is nicknamed Jedi because he is obsessed with Star Wars. The Force was certainly with Fulham in the first half. It may be Chelsea that have recovered their mystical powers in the second. They've scored just minutes into the second half. 1-1 the score. You're listening to Talksport under the lights in southwest London at Craven Cottage, this historic old stadium which has been giving a little bit of a reboot with the new stand over on the far side. Luxury apartment complex on the other side of it, overlooking the River Thames. But inside the stadium it's very much a plush new part of this arena as it looks to get upgraded and brought into the 21st century. Foul on João Felix, and Chelsea, whose team we haven't gone through in the second half yet, we should probably do that. Have Aretha Balaga in goal. Back three of Trevor Chalobah has been booked, Silva and Koulibaly. The wing-backs are Azpilicueta and Lewis Hall. Zakaria and Kovacic in the centre of midfield. Mount behind João Felix and Kai Havertz. The ball up to Havertz. João Felix from the edge of the area. Right footed strike. Straight down the throat of Bernd Leno, who pats it away and then runs to the edge of his 18-yard box and will clear. Another shot from João Felix.
Well, I'm not sure if it's down to the players or Graham Potter, but whatever's been said at half-time, it certainly made a difference, because this first 5 minutes, Chelsea have just showed that little bit more, that little bit more quality. João Felix hits it straight at Leno there, but really good play. They've got in amongst it. They're showing that little bit of fight, and that's exactly what you expect, in the London derby like this. You would expect that to be the case from the get-go, from minute one. And I mentioned it at half-time. Azpilicueta, the first time he's gone over and said something. Usually he's one of those players that is almost annoying. He's in the referee's ear. He's always amongst it. That's what they need. They need that little bit of fight. And in the end, that's a really good time for them to score. And obviously, I imagine Graham Potter did say, things don't change, I'm making changes. Because we know Graham Potter's the type of manager that will make changes when it's necessary. But definitely, the second half, Chelsea have showed that little bit more fight. Still early doors, but Chelsea fans can be happy with how they've scored early.
I can confirm, having witnessed the replay from the goal decision system, that it was Koulibaly's goal. His one did cross the line. Mason Mount's didn't. It hit the inside of the post, was repelled by Bernd Leno straight into the path of the Senegalese in a clutch of players inside the 18-yard box, and Koulibaly managed to rifle it into the net. Leno did his best to keep it out, but couldn't do so. The ball is on the halfway line. It's fallen to Harrison Reed of Fulham, who takes it out towards the far side, plays it infield. Decordova-Reid plays it back to Paulinho, who clips it high into the sky. It's dabbed down by Anthony Robinson, and Mason Mount was very quickly across. Tim Ream back to Paulinho. It's 1-1 on Talksport between these two southwest London Premier League teams, both of them occupying places in the top half of the table at this moment in time, although Fulham started the day in a higher position than Chelsea, which doesn't happen very often. Here's Kovacic on to João Felix. João Felix out towards the left-hand side, scampering away to the touchline. He's being followed by Kenny Tete. On the overlap goes Lewis Hall. It's played to the young Englishman, who just went a little bit too early, and he strayed into an offside position rather naively, and João Felix fed him, and the flag went up.
That's really poor. I mean, I know Lewis Hall's a young player, but he just has to hold it here. It's something so basic. He's run offside. João Felix has played him the ball. That's really, really basic, like schoolboy football-esque. But for me, Fulham, they really play the ball around. They possessed the ball really, really well. There was a chance there where Paulinho
Well, they've got a chance here because the ball's been played over the top and Pereira has gone steaming through the centre. Andreas Pereira down the left channel, tries a shot in towards the near post, but he hits the side netting and goes behind and away for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. In fact, it may well have been a corner kick that's been given here by the referee. Must have taken a deflection on the way through, but it was a very simple ball over the top of Chalobah, who was outpaced by Andreas Pereira. I don't understand how that is a corner, but anyway, it has been given as a corner by David Coote, the referee. He's completely missed the fact that it didn't touch Trevor Chalobah on the way through. Here is the corner to be taken by Andreas Pereira. He'll hit it right-footed in towards that congested penalty area where Paulinho is waiting, and so is Kenny Tete and Tosin Adebayo. Tim Ream at the far post as well. It's right underneath the goalkeeper, away by Chalobah, who rises well and gets a good headed clearance on the ball. Zakaria then retrieves possession, and now Chelsea have a chance to break. It's 2-on-2, and João Felix has made a dart through the middle. Havertz delayed the pass, and now Fulham are allowed to get players back, and he's overhit it, and he's run it out of play over on the far side, and it's away for a throw-in to the home team. What a waste of an opportunity.
That is so poor from Kai Havertz, and Graham Potter literally looked to his bench and sent them out to warm up from that moment, because both of them, Mason Mount made a really good run, João Felix made a good run. The timing of the pass had to come. You know, if Kai Havertz wants to hold on to the ball, take it down the left-hand flank and then deliver the ball. But he's run it completely out of play, and that's not good enough. It really isn't.
Chelsea have got a real problem here. I think it's who's over down on the floor over on the far side? Is it Zakaria who's gone down? And he is thumping his chest and saying that he needs some treatment. The Chelsea physios have immediately signalled for a substitute. He doesn't look comfortable at all there. His left leg is the one that's being manipulated by the physios, but he doesn't look at all happy. He did have a really bad knee injury when he was at I think it was at Borussia Mönchengladbach, was he, for a little while, and I think he picked up an injury there before he went on to Juventus.
That's not, you don't like to see a player, and it's like he knew straight away. He pulled up. It was almost, I wouldn't say an off the ball incident, but somewhat to a certain degree, and he knows within himself, and it's always disappointing to see. But it looks like Jorginho is about to come on and replace him.
Yeah, that's a bit of a worry for Denis Zakaria, who's only really got into the Chelsea team in the last few weeks before the season pause for the World Cup. It's his 7th appearance tonight for Chelsea on loan from Juve, and Jorginho comes into the team. Could leave on a free transfer in the summer. There's certainly a school of thought that seems to be the most likely outcome now. Chelsea look as if they're going to keep N'Golo Conte for another year, although they can never seem to get him fit. And Jorginho looks as if he's in the last sort of 6 months of his Chelsea career. That's the sort of feeling that is coming out of Stamford Bridge. He has wandered into the heart of the Chelsea midfield. They may well need him tonight. It's 1-1, and they need a positive result. Chelsea score for the second time in 2023. And the goal coming from Kalidou Koulibaly, his second goal of the season. His only other goal was in August against Tottenham, and that was a belter of a goal. And this one, a good finish, which only just crossed the line. Throwing over the far side, Chelsea have it. Was that a foul throw? No. The ball had gone out and come back in again.
It was a foul throw, though.
The first one was a foul throw, yeah. It's going to be a free kick for an offside over on the left-hand side, which Koulibaly is going to take. Zakaria is walking all the way around the perimeter of the pitch. He's going to go straight into the tunnel to get further treatment.
I mean, it doesn't really change the formation, but I actually think, I hope Zakaria is going to be okay, but I think Jorginho is a better ball player, and he's really good at getting on the ball, which maybe Mason Mount feels more comfortable with him. So in that position, and Kovacic, they played there so many times together. So I think this could actually be a good change for them, even though it's been forced.
João Felix has gone in on the halfway line on Kenny Tete. It was high, it was very high, he was late, he was never going to get the ball, and referee David Coote is walking over to the touchline to make a decision here. He's asking to speak to João Felix. He's being chased by a clutch of white shirts. He's beckoning over the Chelsea player who's making his debut. João Felix is going to get a red card on his Chelsea debut. And Chelsea's problems get worse and worse and worse.
João Felix, eager to impress, stretching high into the evening sky to try and poke the ball away from Kenny Tete. Gets something on the ankle of the Dutchman, and as a result of that, with his studs showing, the referee didn't hesitate for too long before producing a red card. VAR will check it, but Stuart Atwell is explaining to Graham Potter why his new signing has been dismissed.
I mean, when I first saw it, Sam, I was thinking maybe, but that is a really poor tackle. It's high, it's in the shin. I feel for João Felix, but that is so silly. So silly. And for me, definite red card. They'll look at it. The more you look at it, the worse it becomes. I know when you slow it down, it gets worse, but I feel for him because he's been their best player. But that is a really poor tackle on Tete. Really poor.
Hugh Grant has just stood up. He's dressed in a Baker Boy cap with a big scarf on tonight, and he stood up and he started waving to João Felix, waving him goodbye as he goes down the tunnel and into the dressing room. And the Fulham fans all bellowing at and taunting João Felix. They came out with the familiar refrain, what a waste of money, because Chelsea has spent a lot of money on the loan to get him into the club in January, and there are glum faces on the look of the Chelsea fans once again after what had been a bright start to the second half, Leanne, and now once again they find themselves up against it. Graham Potter can protest all he likes, but ultimately if you go in like that, miss the ball, catch a player with your studs showing, in this day and age you are going to be sent off.
Absolutely, and I even think in any day and age, Sam, when you watch it back, it's a really poor tackle, and I feel for Graham Potter because it's almost like he's made one step forward and four back, because he sent out Conor Gallagher to warm up, which is a substitution we expected to happen. But a really poor tackle from João Felix. I'm a big fan of his, but that wasn't a nice tackle at all. And sometimes I think the misconception is when teams go down to 10 players, they capitulate, but sometimes you can find a way. You can.
Well, Graham Potter is well renowned in coaching circles for coming up with solutions to problems and devising decent coaching plans. He's got to come up with something pretty special here to get Chelsea through the next 30 minutes. I mean, listen, I think if Chelsea come away with a point here, they'll be absolutely delighted. I think they would have been delighted prior to the match if they come away with a point here, bearing in mind how well Fulham have been playing recently. They've won every game since the resumption of the season. But especially now that Chelsea are down to 10 players. Fulham 1, Chelsea 1. Willian scoring for Fulham. Koulibaly for Chelsea. But Chelsea down to 10 players. Willian into the back of Mason Mount, knocks him over. Free kick given. Jorginho takes it too quickly. David Coote wants to pull it back again and make him take it once more. Fulham have been enjoying their London derbies this season. They've already beaten Crystal Palace and Brentford. Win tonight and they would win 3 Premier League derbies in one campaign for the first time in 10 years. It's eminently possible that still is available to them, especially now they're playing a Chelsea team with a man like. Clipped forward by Thiago Silva, up towards Havertz, who's now on his own again. Jorginho, Kovacic, forward towards Havertz, but it's cut out by Paulinho, who's been excellent again in the heart of midfield. Or won by Jorginho, as now it's Fulham's turn to give the ball away cheaply. Lewis Hall with a low cross into the near post, steered away by the diving Tosin Adarabioyo, and it goes behind and away for a corner over on the far side, but that was sloppy from Fulham.
Absolutely, but that's what I'm saying, son. Sometimes you go down to 10 players, you have to dig deep and find a way. They have to find a way, and Lewis Hall got down the left-hand side, and Chelsea, again, second half have been so much better, but now they're down to 10 players, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be really, really difficult, but Fulham just need to keep doing exactly what they're doing, and hopefully, they can get the next goal.
There's a rather angry gentleman in front of me who has a point to prove to the referee. He's got a few words to say to him. I don't think David Coote heard that, but he certainly made sure everybody else around him did. Ball given away by Kovacic as the ball's cleared from the corner, and it's picked up by William, who immediately dispatches upfield for Decordova-Reid. Lewis Hall runs into him. It's going to be a free kick. It's going to be a yellow card for Lewis Hall. Chelsea got to be really careful here. Don't lose your discipline. Don't lose another player.
I mean, I think Lewis Hall, I said in the first half, I feel like positionally he looks very, very good for an 18-year-old, but He's shown his naivety in this game, and
Is
it's
it
almost
too early
like
for him to be playing in the first team?
To me, that's what it looks like. When you've got a player like Cucurella, I know he's not had the greatest start to his Chelsea career, but he is still a player in the Premier League that's been good for Brighton, played a number of times. And what I'm seeing right now with Lewis Hall is a player that's just been put out there with not really much guidance. And I feel for the lad, I really do, because he's only young. You know, he was at fault for the first goal, then he just got caught the wrong side, you know, picks up a yellow card, and these things happen. You can learn from them. He's not been an absolute disaster. I think Trevor Chalobah has been far worse, but for me, it doesn't look like he's ready yet.
He's
not to
18
say he won't
years
be.
of age, and like, obviously it's only his fifth appearance of the season for Chelsea, 6 overall. The fact of the matter is that I can understand why they're utilising him, because Cucurella is having to play every game because Chilwell's injured, and there's a lot of games at this stage of the season. But this is the kind of game where you need Cucurella, you need the experience in these matches, you know, and it beggars belief that actually they decided to rest Cucurella in the FA Cup and rest him in tonight's game as well.
But is he resting him, or is it a sign of that he's not really having him?
Well, if he's not having
Chelsea?
him, why did they buy him? They bought him for 63 million quid. I know that it was before Potter's time,
But he's a Potter player, because he was at Brighton with him. So, you know, these are the types of decisions that I think will come back and bite Graham Potter, because someone like Cucurella, he's far more advanced than, you know, Lewis. I'm not saying he never will be.
Mount exchanging passes with Havertz and then bounding into the opposition half. Havertz takes it on, squeezes through a tight gap. Leno comes out, he plays it against him, and it hits him in the face. Leno made himself incredibly big as Havertz tried to chip him and put it in the far corner, and it's smuggled out for a corner kick with good goalkeeping by Bernd Leno, who raced off his line. Brilliant football by Chelsea. Mount leading the charge down the left-hand side, popping it into Havertz, who squeezed through a very tight gap. And then from a tight angle, actually probably would have been better squaring it rather than trying to put it in, because there was a player waiting in the centre in Azpilicueta.
Yeah, I mean, he did all the hard work. He showed great balance to get through Kai Havertz, but I think he should have squared it to Azpilicueta. He was there, it would have been a tap-in in the back of the net.
Corner kick taken on the far side by Mason Mount. There's a lot of Chelsea players in at the near post. It's aimed in towards the centre of the 6-yard box, and it's easily headed away by Tosin. Back via Mason Mount to the halfway line, and Lewis Hall has hold of it on halfway, gives it to Mount, back to Lewis Hall again, and then Hall sees it all the way back to his goalkeeper. Fulham 1, Chelsea 1 on Talksport with Now Sports. Don't forget that with Now Sports you can stream the Premier League live without a contract from $11.99. Search Now Sports 18+, stream via the internet, and terms do apply. Azpilicueta back to Arrizabalaga, and then into Chalobah, who's on the edge of the penalty area. Thiago Silva wants it back again. He's wearing mauve boots tonight, Thiago Silva. And Chelsea just trying to retain a little bit of possession, rest with the ball for a moment. 65 gone. Kovacic to Jorginho, sorry Leanne. Out to Lewis Hall. They've got it back on halfway now, Chelsea. Looking for Mason Mount. Interception comes from Tim Ream.
I mean, you can see the Fulham defenders must be thinking happy days. You know, they've got no one going up against them now, because Havertz and Mason Mount are dropping very, very deep, and Tim Ream and Tosin and Tete have just got to handle, you know, whatever's coming at them, and they're probably having a field day because no one's going up against them anymore.
Trevor Chalobah has just been penalised for a foul on Willian. He has to be incredibly careful now, because he's already been booked. He's had a couple of warnings, and he's got to make sure that he doesn't end up following the same path as João Felix and going down for an early bath. There is going to be a couple of substitutions here for Fulham in just a moment, but they're going to have a free kick first taken on this near side. It's midway inside the Chelsea half of the field, wide on the left-hand side. There are two players standing over it, both Brazilian. Pereira's going to take charge of it. He sends it into the box. He looked to scoot through to Paulinho after an initial header from Tosin, but it was defended by Koulibaly and smacked out over on the far side and away for a throw-in. It remains 1-1.
It looks like Fulham are going to make this double substitution, but what I would do as well is Dan James will probably come on at some point, and he is a massive threat with his pace. You know, he's not the most technically gifted player, but what he does do is he works hard and he can get in behind, and that's going to cause Chelsea a problem later in the game, because I expect them to do that. That's what Marco Silva seems to do, and it seems to work.
Havertz taking the ball down on his chest and then accused of handball by the Fulham crowd. Jorginho back to Thiago Silva. Chelsea very deep at the moment, trying to find a way out, but Fulham pressing high up the field and stopping them from getting out. It's played square to the right fullback position, and Chalobah, who hits it long up towards Havertz, who's fouled by Tosin. Free kick given just short of the halfway line. Another one that looks a little bit soft from David Coote.
Yeah, I mean, I think I haven't sold that very well, because I thought Tosin did very, very well there. And I know that they're down to 10 players, Chelsea, but Fulham have been high pressing from the beginning of this game. It's been absolutely brilliant, not giving them a second to breathe. Trevor Chalobah was forced to go long. They couldn't find the midfield, and Kai Havertz wins a free kick. I don't think that was a free kick.
Tom Kearney on for Harrison Reed. They're going a bit more aggressive in that central midfield area now, bearing in mind that they've got a chance to take advantage of Chelsea's numerical deficiency. And Bobby De Cordova-Reid is also coming off to be replaced by Harry Wilson, who's featured in 9 of the previous 10 games. He had a knee injury in pre-season that sort of restricted him earlier in the campaign, but he's a very good player. Harry Wilson, certainly very useful for this Fulham side. So they've made 2 substitutions now, and Chelsea have got the twin threat of Kearney and Wilson to have to deal with as well for the rest of this second half. 22 minutes to go. It's 1-1 on Talksport. Chelsea down to 10 players. Andreas Pereira flicks the ball on down into the right channel. Carlos Vinicius goes chasing, but it's Chelsea who emerge with the ball on the halfway line. A prod by Kai Havertz, who's very lean and long and gaunt looking. He nudges it back to Thiago Silva, who's 38 years of age and has played more minutes in the Premier League than any other Chelsea player this season at the grand old age of 38. But he scooped the ball here out to Anthony Robinson. The fullback is charging forward. Chalobah goes to ground, has to scoop the ball away as it's played back to Robinson by Willian. And Fulham once again constructing an attack which ruffles a few Chelsea feathers. Here they come again. Kearney. Infield he wanders. On to Tosin Adarabioyo. Out to the far side. It's collected now by Kenny Tete. Then on to Harry Wilson. Tight to the touchline in front of the Riverside stand. Infield it goes. Collected by Tom Kearney. Back to Anthony Robinson. Bit of space to run into. He swipes the ball through the penalty area. Lewis Hall tries to get rid of it. Doesn't really connect with it well, and it goes out of play on the far side.
I think Anthony Robinson's had a really good game. That's probably the only mistake he's made of this game, and you can see the confidence that Fulham are playing with. I mean, they've got 3 or 4 options. Any time a player is on the ball, whether it be Tim Ream on the ball now, there's always players available. Even when Chelsea had 11 players on the pitch, that was always the case. They're passing, moving, the most basic thing, but there's always options. And Willian's been really, really good. You know, he's looked sharp for someone, like I said, that didn't look like his career was over when he was at Arsenal. And now he's at Fulham and he's doing so well.
Here is Kai Havertz squeezing through a very tight gap, moving through towards the edge of the centre circle. Of course, João Felix going to be suspended now. Could be for 1 or even 3 games, depending on how it is referenced by the referee. If that's the case, then, you know, that's a big chunk of the amount of time he's got at Chelsea that has been erased already. Here is Andreas Pereira down the right-hand side, trying to outpace Thiago Silva. A low ball into the box. Carlos Vinicius trying to turn on it. Didn't quite get hold of it and was held off by Trevor Chalobah, and it's taken away by Koulibaly. Brilliant move by Fulham. A sweeping move down the right side. And a lovely little balletic turn from Carlos Vinicius in the first half, which ended in a shot. Didn't quite come off the second time he tried it.
I think Andreas Pereira has been absolutely brilliant today. You know, he got down that right-hand side and put a really good ball in. But this is what we spoke about before the game in Carlos Vinicius. Obviously, they're missing Mitrovic tonight, Fulham are. But for me, I don't think Carlos Vinicius does enough. You know, I know sometimes you have to occupy the 2 centre-halves, you know, when you get the ball. But he doesn't touch the ball enough and he doesn't impact the game. I know sometimes the game is not set up for you. The success isn't coming down to you, but I think he needs to offer a little bit more, because he touches the ball minimally. Apart from that 1/2 chance he created for himself in the first 5-10 minutes, I thought that was what the intent was going to be from tonight. So for me, you know, there's not many players that can compare to Mitrovic. It was always going to be difficult for him. I think he's worked his socks off, but he hasn't been in the game at all. And when you consider Koulibaly and Trevor Chalobah haven't had the best of games, I'd have expected him to have been impacted the game a little bit more. Maybe there's still time, maybe he still can, but for me, he doesn't get on the ball enough, and I think he's easily replaceable.
Ball in towards the edge of the penalty area for Paulinho, who tucks it round the corner, looking for the run of Lewis Hall. It's cleared away by Hall up towards the halfway line. Fulham 1, Chelsea 1, live on Talksport. João Felix sent off on his debut will be the big headline tomorrow. He actually had a bright start to his Chelsea career, missed a few chances, had a few shots, but as is the way of Chelsea at the moment, it's just not going their way. Ball into the penalty area. Oh, it's high! It's brilliantly delivered. Kepa Arrizabalaga has missed it, and Vinicius is there to prod it home. And Chelsea's top four hopes are fading fast. Another big error, this time from their goalkeeper, who seemingly was caught out by the flight of the goal. And Vinicius was there to prod it home from 4 yards out to make it Fulham 2, Chelsea 1.
The commentators curse Sam in a good way, I guess. I did say there's still time and he doesn't impact the game enough, but that is a fantastic. He's in the right place at the right time. Again, Kepa Arrizabalaga comes out, doesn't get anywhere near the ball. Fair play to, Carlos Vinicius, because he is in the right place. He's had no impact in this game. And, I did say he still has time. Fantastic ball from Andreas Pereira. Absolutely brilliant. But Kepa's come flying out. Again, the ball's gone in between the penalty spot, and Kepa's just come out. Trevor Chalobah's nowhere near it. Thiago Silva's nowhere near it. But the goalkeeper has to be doing better there. We're taking nothing away from Carlos Vinicius because he did have a lot of pressure on him tonight. Mitrovic, they just showed scenes of him, in the stands after the goal goes in. He knows he's positioning as under threat and he'll be straight back in the lineup. But fair play to Carlos Vinicius because potentially, there's still 15 minutes to go plus additional time. And that could be the winning goal.
Well, goals have been a feature of Fulham's season. They've scored 32 now in the Premier League this season, the joint most at this stage of a Premier League campaign with 2003, 2004, and more than the whole of the season in which they were last relegated from the top flight when they only got 27. But that goal was solely down to the huge error from Kepa Arrizabalaga, who made a complete misjudgment as the flight of the ball came over the top of his defence, and he went to try and receive it. He got nowhere near it. He was miles away from it, and Vinicius could just prod the ball in with his head, and his first Fulham goal is scored, and it could be a winning goal in a West London derby. Harry Wilson wants a free kick on the edge of the penalty area. It's cleared away by Jorginho upfield towards Kai Havertz. Tapped back into midfield and Kovacic. Kovacic's trying to stride over the halfway line. Doesn't quite do that. Dispossessed by Tosin. Picked up by Paulinho. But this is Fulham. This is Fulham over the course of the season. They've fought, they've scrapped, they've created chances, they've scored goals. Yeah, they've conceded goals as well. But they've had a brilliant, brilliant campaign. If it stays like this, they're going to the top 6 tonight.
It's incredible, Sam. Nobody saw this one coming at all. And fair play to Marco Silva and the players, because all of them...
Now Mason Mount getting frustrated. He's going to get a yellow card for wiring into Tom Kearney.
You saw there was an instant about 20 seconds ago where Mason Mount was screaming at Azpilicueta to get up higher, and that was just frustration from Mason Mount because he was so frustrated that the players weren't going with him when he was pressing. About 20 seconds later, it's not that bad, Kenny did make a meal of it. It's a yellow card all day long, and off they go.
Another card for Mason Mount. He's had a few this week. It's his 24th birthday the other day.
And that's a card that he wouldn't have wanted.
Here is Wilson over on the far side, playing the ball into Paulinho. The Fulham fans are teasing Graham Potter once again with the rendition of "You're getting sacked in the morning." Not sure that'll be the case. I think there is a little bit of patience now and a determination about Todd Bowley and his co-owners from Clear Lake Capital that they want to try and retain a little bit more decorum, try and give a manager a real opportunity to build the club. They've certainly brought in people that they believe will want to work with Graham Potter. There's a few people from Brighton that have been taken in order to try and enhance the ability to build the club the way that Graham Potter will want it built for him in terms of recruitment and building the squad. But there's so many players in the squad, so many injuries in the squad. It's so difficult at this moment in time to get a run of games for a first 11, if indeed he knows what that is right now. But getting your brand new signing sent off in the first hour of a debut is not a great way to start.
Absolutely not. I mean, similar to Darwin Núñez at Liverpool when he picked up that red card in one of his first games,
against Crystal Palace.
It doesn't help when those situations, and Graham Potter needs to be at fault for team selection, but when it comes to João Felix and Kepa Arrizabalaga making that mistake, that's not down to the manager. That comes down to, ill discipline from João Felix, because it was a terrible tackle, all day long a red card, and Kepa's come flying out as he usually does. I mean, he's been pretty content of late, but we know he's susceptible to a mistake. So those are the things. But for me, the team selection, Lewis Hall, he doesn't look ready yet. Cucurella's on the bench. Those are the types of things that I think will end up, people are going to ask questions about that. Chelsea have been better in this second half.
Oh, given away by Kovacic to Willian, back towards Willian by Carlos Vinicius. He can't quite squeeze it over the top of the Chelsea defence the second time, and it's nodded back into the arms of Kepa Arrizabalaga. Chelsea could lose 3 consecutive games in all competitions for the second time under Graham Potter, and that's in just 19 games. Before Potter, the last Chelsea manager to lose 3 consecutive games was Jose Mourinho, who lost his final 2 Premier League games of 2005-06. He'd already won the title, by the way, during that period, so he had a bit of credit in the bank. And the first game of 2006-07, which was the Community Shield. The last Chelsea manager to lose 3 consecutive games on 2 occasions was Glenn Hoddle in the 90s. It's not something that this club are used to. No,
and the thing is, if you keep losing, then the stats are going to be there, clear and obvious for everybody to see. It looks like, he's going to make a quadruple substitution, and it's the 78th minute, Sam. Wait until that long. I know they went down to 10 players, but, it's never too late. And obviously Lewis Hall looks like he's going to be one of the players.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, Lewis Hall is coming off. On comes Marc Cucurella. Also coming on, Hakim Ziyech and Conor Gallagher. And he's just having a word here, Cucurella, telling them how he expects Chelsea to line up now. Kovacic is coming off. Chalobah is coming off. It's a big change, this, for Chelsea. It'll be interesting to see whether these players can settle in really quickly. And made a change in midfield as well. Conor Gallagher is coming on. And Mason Mount coming off to be replaced by Hakim Ziyech, which certainly pleases the Fulham support. And Carney Chukwuemeka is also coming on as well. Actually played well, I thought, when he came off the bench during the game against Manchester City in the league last Thursday.
I think those substitutions make sense, Sam, to me, because the players that have gone off, apart from Mason Mount putting himself about in the second half, they've been poor. Very, very poor. Fair play to Lewis Hall. I mean, he's only 18 years old. He's got...
Ball was almost given straight to Tom Kearney, but...
Conor Gallagher's first touch.
Chelsea have won it back again. Yeah, Kearney almost poking it straight through to Tom Kearney. Arrizabalaga managed to clear. Ball drops out the sky. Picked up now by Conor Gallagher, who went to the World Cup with England but didn't play a part. Looks as if they're playing a back 3 of Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva and Koulibaly, with Ziyech as the right wing back and Cucurella as the left wing back. It's Jorginho and Gallagher in the centre of midfield, with Chukwuemeka just behind Havertz in the attack.
And this is when I think Fulham will see that and bring on Dan James. I genuinely do, because this is when they're there for the taking. I mean, they don't need to score again, Fulham, but they are there. They've got no pace in their backline whatsoever. These players, Conor Gallagher, when he's out there, I mean, when he was at Palace, I know it's a completely different entirety. The pressure's not as big at Crystal Palace as it is at Chelsea, but he doesn't look like he knows exactly where he's supposed to be. The fundamental basics, he's just out there, kind of on his own. So I think the substitution should have happened at half-time, if I'm being honest, but it's taken it's never too late. There's still 10 minutes to go plus additional time. But the quality just hasn't really been there from a Chelsea perspective.
Fulham 2, Chelsea 1 on Talksport with Car Finance 24/7. Search Car Finance 24/7 today. 9 minutes to go. Fulham have been brilliant, by the way, and there's a lot of talk, and there will always be a lot of talk about Chelsea because of the money they've spent, but actually Fulham deserve a huge amount of credit for their recruitment, the way they've organised their team. Kenny's got it back after a slip from Azpilicueta. Into the box it goes. It falls to Andreas Pereira, dispossessed by Carney Chukwuemeka, and then Gallagher gets it back to Thiago Silva, who's immediately under pressure from Vinicius. Kepa Arrizabalaga got it at his feet, and Chelsea play their way out of trouble. But that high press is on from Fulham once again. Chukwuemeka takes it down inside the centre circle. He's got space outside on the left-hand side for Cucurella. He goes through the middle instead for Havertz, who couldn't receive it. And it goes all the way through to Bernd Leno, who's been brilliant. Another one of the good pieces of recruitment for Fulham. And he clears upfield.
But that was a chance, Chukwuemeka tried to find Havertz. It was a good run.
And he's made another good run. And Chukwuemeka has elected to send it wide onto Cucurella, who's come in on his right foot, shot poorly, straight at Kenny Tete. And it's cleared away by Andreas Pereira. 8 minutes to go. Chelsea, who made a quadruple substitution with 12 minutes left to try and reinvigorate themselves after going 2-1 behind to a goal scored by Carlos Vinicius, a right-wing cross which was held into the box and completely messed up by Kepa Arrizabalaga. Here comes the change. Off comes Willian, on comes Manor Solomon. And Willian goes off to a standing ovation, knowing that he has made a huge contribution. And Solomon, who's on loan from Shakhtar Donetsk, the Israeli attacking midfield player, will come on and take his place for the final 7 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I mean, this game is not over yet. I know Chelsea are down to 10 players, but as we just saw them when Chukwuemeka picked up the ball, Kai Havertz made that run. The game can change in the blink of an eye. So although Fulham have been absolutely brilliant, they still need to stay concentrated these last, 10, 12 minutes or so.
I mean, Chelsea will hope that the 13-day gap in their fixture list after the Liverpool game, which is live on Talksport next Saturday, will give them a chance for a reset. I mean, it's all thanks to an FA Cup exit actually, which is why they've got that 13-day period without a game. Whether that includes Graham Potter may depend on what happens in the next couple of games. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe Chelsea do have the patience now, but it gets harder the more games you lose. And it was 1 win in 10 in all competitions before today. It's 1 win in 11 now if it goes like this. The Premier League record is the one that really would worry the owners, and they are falling further and further away from a top 4 position. It's a real worry.
I mean, losing is losing. Nobody likes to lose, but I think it's also sometimes how you lose. And there's certain moments, in managerial careers that you look at. I look at the Brighton game. I know it was a long time ago, but this Chelsea team has not progressed since then. The Brentford, at the GTEC Stadium, 0-0. They didn't show anything. I think they've showed a lot of fight in this second half based upon it being, a London derby, but the quality just hasn't been there. And I think a lot of these players, if they look at themselves honestly in the mirror, they're not playing anywhere near the standard that they know they can.
Well, there'll be 6 points between Chelsea and Fulham by the end of the night. Fulham move up to 6 above Liverpool, but they've played 2 games more than the Reds. Chelsea will be 10 points away from Manchester United, who are in 4th position at the moment, should it stay as it is. Here is Kai Havertz moving forward into the number 10 position, out towards the left to Chukwuemeka, who moves to the edge of the box, lays it off towards Cucurella. His cross towards Havertz, an overhead kick is attempted. It takes a flick off Pilikueta and goes behind. Offside flag might have been up anyway against Kai Havertz. But he didn't get the technique right, did he? He tried something really spectacular there. He just couldn't quite execute it, Havertz, as the ball came in from the left flank from Cucurella. And Chelsea have got a bit more energy about them if they haven't got the poise to be able to finish the chances.
Havertz was offside as well, but I don't think he really needed to try the overhead kick in that situation, because let's say he was onside, he could have controlled the ball, put it in the back of the net. If you're going to try that type of fancy stuff, you have to make sure you make a connection, and it nearly went in, but it was offside anyway. But, for me, Fulham just need to remain calm. They've been absolutely brilliant. I mean, there's been some standout performances. I think Anthony Robinson, all of them, Palhinha, they're like cogs in an engine. All of them work together as a team. There's always availability. Their players are always open, and they've still got energy now, you can see. The players are moving around. I critiqued Carlos Vinicius in this second half, saying he needs to offer more. Came up with a goal. He's held the ball up well in the last 10-15 minutes as well, drawing fouls. That's exactly what they're going to need in the last 5 to 10 minutes.
Wilson over on the right hand side sends the ball into the box with the left foot aimed towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Carlos Vinicius is roughing up Kepa Arrizabalaga, who's having none of it, and it's cleared away. Arrizabalaga, I think, frustrated by his role in the goal, which is likely to seal all 3 points for Fulham. Marco Silva has been rewarded for sticking in this job for longer than any other since he left Estoril, his first ever job. He's been in charge at Craven Cottage for more days than he was at Hull, at Watford, at Everton. He gives the impression now that he's settled and planning for the long term. He says, don't talk about the future, just take one day at a time. But he's refused to get drawn into a debate about the possibility of Fulham getting into the European places. They're into the top 6 after tonight's result, but they haven't played a European campaign since 2011. It's not something that happens to this club very often, but it's certainly something that they can start dreaming about, and the fans will start dreaming about if they continue to pick up results like this. And this is a big scalp. They haven't beaten anyone big until tonight, and this is going to be a huge, huge win for this club. All of their victories have come against teams in the bottom 12 of the table up until tonight, but they are going to get a very big scalp here, and they're going to put more pressure on Graham Potter with a victory, unless Chelsea can come up with an equaliser. Jorginho down the left, into Cucurella, delivery into the box which is headed behind. 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go before the 90 is up. The ball is out of play away on the far side. Alan Brazil's back on breakfast tomorrow. Dan Byrne is going to be on the show with him and Ray Parlour, and also Glenn Hoddle is going to be on the show to review this game as well. Corner to be taken over on the far side. Ziyech to take it. He puts his right arm in the air and his left boot round the ball in towards the near post. Headed into the air by Tete. Thundered aimlessly into the box by Koulibaly, and it's easily caught by Bernd Leno.
I would say a high percentage of Chelsea's corners and set pieces tonight have gone to the near post. I'm not quite sure why, because none of the players are making that run towards that. But, I just want to touch upon Fulham, because I think when, the so-called bigger club ends up getting beat, it's all focused on them not playing well. But Fulham, it's hard to believe they just got promoted this season. We've seen teams come up in their first season, Sheffield United, Wolves, those types of teams, and Wolves made Europe. But there's a certain feeling about this Fulham team. They're organised. They're so good, genuinely. Even the substitutions that have come on, they know their role and responsibility, and it's infectious. You can feel it around the club.
Yeah, the recruitment has been excellent. João Paulinho, Bernd Leno, Andreas Pereira, Willian all made an impact. They promoted players from the younger age groups as well. Silva's given 5 academy players their debuts, bought through Fabio Carvalho, then sold him on, and Jay Stansfield as well, who made an impact before going out on loan. Here is Harry Wilson into the area, looking for the run of Solomon. Doesn't quite get hold of it. It's pushed behind by Afilicueta. It's out for another corner.
Yeah, Carlos Vinicius was certainly looking for a pull from the ref, from Azpilicueta. But again, Fulham are not, they're relentless. They could easily, they're probably going to hold it in the corner. That would probably be the best thing to do in this situation, but they're certainly still going for it. And they play some really good football. They're exciting to watch.
And Chelsea, conversely, are finding themselves in a situation where they are going to find it almost impossible to get Champions League football next season unless they win the thing. They've got Dortmund in a 2-legged tie. Their league form has been so bad that they are going to need to go on a terribly good run of form in order to get anywhere near that now. Ball goes into the box, steered away by Koulibaly. Out on the near side it goes, and away for a throw-in, level with the edge of the penalty area. I mean, Chelsea started the day with 25 points. They still got 25 points. I mean, that is bad for them, like really very bad. They've only had 25 points or fewer after 17 games in 4 previous seasons: 93-94, 95-96, 2000-2001 and 2015-16, when they were utterly abysmal. It just doesn't happen like this. Havertz tries to bring it down. Ream comes across him, nudges it out. But when you have teams around you that have smarter recruitment, when you have teams that are constructing better squads and a more cohesive unit, you are going to find yourself in that situation. Gallagher wrestling with Vinicius. 6 minutes of added time. Is there a chance of a Chelsea equaliser?
I mean, it's still possible, Sam. I mean, I think it would be really, really harsh on Fulham, because I think they've been brilliant, organised. But I just think this Chelsea team, I don't think I've seen a Chelsea team play as bad as this, especially live, in a really long time. I know Nigel Adderley said that at the weekend, but, seriously, like, they've got nothing. They're not offering anything. João Felix was the only player that I felt like had a little bit of something special.
And how much of it can you blame on the injuries? Because the injuries to James and Chilwell make a massive difference, because without those two on the flanks, they're the sort of bedrock of the Chelsea team. That's the team's constructed to play with wing-backs, and those two are very, very good at that. Obviously Pulisic's out till March. Loftus-Cheek's had his problems. Mendy's had his shoulder issues, had to have an operation on that. Brozier's been out. Wesley Fofana has been out as well. Conte's never fit anymore. They have had a whole host of injuries.
They have, and I think any team...
Can you blame it as much on that?
Not solely.
Wilson down the right, moving towards the edge of the penalty area, tries to skip towards a crossing position, goes back to Andreas Pereira. We're into the first 6 added minutes at the end of the 90. The cross comes in from the right, straight down the throat of Ariba Balaga. He wants to get things moving quickly, but there's no one really to dispatch the ball to.
I mean, obviously, with those types of injuries that they've got, but they played a large part of their season. Ben Chilwell has had injuries probably ever since he had the ACL injury.
Here goes Havertz in behind the two centre-backs. Tries a left-footed shot first time. Stopped by Bernd Leno. Spilt by Bernd Leno, but no one following it, and he picks it up. Did he take that a little bit too early, Havertz?
Yeah, I mean, I think he probably thought he was offside, to be honest, because from here he looked like he was offside. So if that would have gone in, I would have fully expected them to have checked that. 100%. But going back to your original question, Sam, I think any team would struggle without those types of players. But what I see right now is the players that are out there. Hakim Ziyech, I saw him play not too long ago for Morocco, was completely different. When he's here, he looks disinterested. I know he's only just come on.
I didn't even realise he was still here.
Exactly. That's the point I'm making. You know, Kai Havertz, nowhere near at the standard for Chelsea. So I see a lot of these players that just don't look like they're ready for the fight. And I'm worried for Graham Potter because there's going to have to be a complete revamp. But having said that, this is Chelsea Football Club. It won't last. It won't be like this forever because you've got players like N'Golo Kante that will come back into the team that will change things completely. But they do need a number 9. Now João Felix is going to be out, you know, because of that red card. That doesn't help. So Graham Potter needs a little bit of luck sometimes. And Kepa's come out for that one. It's his mistake. But, you know, the longer this goes on without them winning games, I don't know. I just think in this modern day football, everyone's going to be questioning the manager, and I'm not quite sure how that's going to end until he almost starts to turn it around or he goes, because everyone's going to be questioning him until Chelsea start to win games.
Carlos Vinicius and Andreas Pereira, two Brazilians, are going off to standing ovations. Vinicius seems to have got the winner for Fulham, and on comes Nathaniel Chalobah. It'll be interesting text conversation between him and his brother tonight. His brother hasn't had a particularly good day. Trevor Chalobah at fault for the first goal and had a really difficult evening here at the Craven Cottage. And now Nat Chalobah, who was once the captain of Chelsea's FA Cup youth winning team, and that was 10 years ago now, is on in central midfield for Fulham, who lead by 2-1 going into the last few minutes. They're going to win for only the second time in the league against Chelsea since 1980. One win in 35 league meetings between the two before today. Chelsea always win this fixture, but they're not winning this one. It's going Fulham's way. Ball headed away by Tosin, into the air, flicked on by Solomon, away by Thiago Silva. We've played 49 minutes now in this second half, with 6 added at the end of the 90. A poor choice by Jorginho, and Kearney is profiting down the left side now, careering forward, holding on Azpilicueta. Just holding onto the ball in the corner is Solomon. Solomon is being chased by Gallagher. The throw-in goes Chelsea's way. He wants to get on with it quickly, but not too many options in front of him. And the ball goes back to Jorginho, then Chukwuemeka back to Thiago Silva. He launches it upfield as Chelsea desperately trying to get any hope of an equaliser, but the ball is brought down by Cucurella. His touch is so heavy, it goes straight into the benches on the far side of the Riverside stand, and the cold chill that is whistling around the Craven Cottage has just got into the bones of the Chelsea supporters once again. And a little tingle goes down the spine of Graham Potter because he knows he's on the verge of yet another defeat. Here's Dan James, who's come on in this second half right at the very end, trying to combine with Kearney, and it's cleared away by Conor Gallagher. But to no one in particular, they've been a player light for a long time. The out ball is not there. Havertz has run himself into the ground, but he hasn't really been able to profit. He's had a couple of good opportunities which maybe a striker of some repute may would have put away. He had a great chance in the first 3 minutes. What would have happened if that had gone in? It didn't. Fulham took their chance. Chelsea have missed theirs, and Fulham are taking all 3 points.
That touch from Cucurella on the far side there just about sums up Chelsea's night. I mean, there's certain things you don't usually see in football, and that touch was so heavy, and Graham Potter just probably has no idea, because those are fundamental basics, controlling the ball, basic football, and Chelsea just don't have that.
We've nearly played our 6 minutes of added time at the end of the 90, live on Talksport. A big scalp for Fulham, who have picked up so many wins this season, but none against the established top 7. They are going to pick up a win against the team that many are expected to fight for a Champions League place at the end of this season. The celebrations are already starting to begin on the Fulham benches. Look at that happy, cohesive group, and contrast it with the glum look of desperation on the face of Graham Potter. His face, his expression tells a story. Fulham taking their time over the free kick. They're going to book Tosin here as they wait and wind down the clock. But they don't care about that. They'll take the yellow card now, bearing in mind they're going to beat Chelsea for the first time since 2006. It's whacked upfield by Bernd Leno, headed further away by Cucurella, kept in over on the far side. We've played our 6 minutes. We're almost playing 7 minutes of added time at the end of the 90 now here at Craven Cottage. All eyes to David Koo. He's making the supporters of Fulham wait. They've been waiting a long time for victory over Chelsea here. I think they'll wait a little bit longer. The ball goes up towards the halfway line. Havertz tries to hold on to it. Here comes to Conor Gallagher in midfield. He sends it square. We've played 52 minutes and 3 seconds now in this second half. That's well over 7 minutes. There was only 6 that were allotted. Chukwuemeka, a second half substitute, plays it in field. Jorginho tosses it forward. The full-time whistle blows, and Fulham's season is getting better and better and better. They pull off their first win over Chelsea in 17 years to pile the pressure on Graham Potter. Marco Silva deserves a huge amount of credit as Fulham move into the top 6, but Chelsea are in crisis. Out of the FA Cup, out of the Carabao Cup, almost certainly out of the hunt for a Champions League place, and questions will now be asked if Graham Potter is out of his depth. It's 1 win in 10 Premier League games for Chelsea, and the truth is the new regime can plead patience all they like, but this cannot continue. Chelsea are spiralling headlong into their worst Premier League season since 2015 and 16, and it might get worse. Kepa Arrizabalaga made a huge mistake for Carlos Vinicius to win the game, but prior to that, their debutant, their new loan signing João Felix, who had shown promise up until that point, was sent off a straight red card for a reckless challenge. Fulham, composed, calm, and eventually ruthless, took the chance, and they take all 3 points. Fulham 2, Chelsea 1.